Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Give me just a moment and we'll get everything started up. We have a laundry list of stories today, and only thing I'm missing is setting the browser up on the presentation view and turning on the lights. So bear with me. And we also should probably check out the audio, huh? Let's go into control room. It says we haven't started yet, which is not true because it already said live. So then when it gets done spinning, we'll click on the little mute icon. We've got audio, and we need a projector so that I can see you guys. Create output projector and put that in the right window. While that one loads up, we'll go to the light controls. You know what? I think I have that on my phone already. Let's see if, yeah, we do. Oh, it jumped to the top. Oh, wow. Everything is cleared out in my browser. This is going to be a fun day. So, yeah, back to the phone. The first thing I noticed is it signed me out of YouTube, which is not good for what we're working on here today. And then I'm feeling it's also signed me out of X. We'll see. Which also isn't a good thing because of the way that X has been kind of closed off. Yes, that's the right user. You know the code, I don't. There you go, sign that in. And all right, so before I put the browser on, I'll just use this window we already have. Go to X and log in again. Something on my computer offered to clear space or whatever, and it never works correctly, so I don't use it. And no, we're still signed in on X. It knows who I am. That's quite weird. Because the home controller logged me out, YouTube logged me out. Who knows what else did? So we'll go ahead and close my X feed because I don't know what is on the home page here, but it's not what we talk about here. Let's start with. I was going to start with something that I found when I opened up the browser, but we're going to start with something that that Dan sent us. Let's go here. Move this projector on over. Oh, okay. You guys are chatting already. We've got Andrew says good evening from Stockholm at 1913. And we've got multi-stream chats as well. Yeah, what's up? Hashtag not a disaster. No disaster today, thank goodness. Okay, those are coming from. Let's just make them bigger again. Multi-stream isn't working. Future Ozza says not a disaster. That's right. Okay, now let's go ahead and switch to the presentation view and frame in the window. Let me make it a little smaller because it looks a little too big as it is. And now we find it. So Dan sent us an article from Drive. Howdy, good to see you. Window capture. And then pick the window. Again, Drive and cheaper than. Let's go there, come on. Had to restart the computer before all of this because the camera and the window on the camera, you can see the reflection of it, they weren't started. So it would have been hard to do a show without that. Cheaper than Drive. Where are we at? I still have too many Edge windows open even after the restart. Command line interfaces, yeah, man. That's not what we're working on today. There it is. Boom. And done. And look at that. Look who did a good job. We can come a little bit wider on it. Let's go a little bit wider. Yeah, we can come a little bit taller on it too. But that wasn't bad. Okay. So what Dan sent us here, the headline is cheaper than a tow truck. Electric car owner's device, roadside charging solution. And you need to come up a few kilometers. Okay. We got the BYD Atto. Using the vehicle to load functionality. Okay. So Ford has demonstrated this to us. Chevy has demonstrated this. I don't believe that Kia has because their vehicle to X is a little limited. You'd be there for a while to get enough miles to go to the charging station. Yeah, this is gonna become more common, and hopefully the need for it will become less common. I haven't met too many drivers that ran out on accident. A couple that did it on negligence, but that's a different story. Uh, which do you like more, X or YouTube? Well, um, YouTube is a little more catered to the creators for me than X is at the moment. It looks like they're trying, but yeah, exactly. You can charge with a Cybertruck as well, up to 40 amps, and actually, I think that is the highest of the options out there right now because everybody else is around 30 amps. Uh, so that's actually pretty good. Anything B2L, which you said isn't many. Exactly. And then you've also got the solutions that we have where, like our friend over at Spark Charge and their competitors, where you've got basically just roll up a battery and plug it in, and you're good to go. So I don't know that they discovered it, but maybe they were the first to get in the news with this. But I can't even say that because that was the first thing that Ford did was they gave you the um, Tesla adapter so that they could charge Teslas as a kind of yeah. All right, so the first one we got today was actually not on the list. It was me being distracted by opening the browser. I still haven't set it to not show me news on startup, so we'll get to that in just a moment. X viewers don't hang around for long from the way that they do on YouTube. X always pays almost nothing. For me, X pays literally nothing. I've been trying for months to get any of their monetization features turned on, and I just don't qualify. So yeah, X pays literally nothing for me. But I know that we've got an audience over there, so I don't want to deprive them of the option to watch wherever's comfortable. So this first one, like I said, was a distraction to me because I still haven't turned off the news articles when I open the browser. And oh, Lee's here. She says, "Happy good morning from the States. Happy Sunday." So this one, it started off. I thought this was an old article. I looked at had to scroll back up and look at the time. It said it was 11 hours ago. It says Tesla pickup truck Cybertruck waterproofing problem discovered during river crossing. Let's start with this. The Cybertruck does have a wade mode in the manual. In fact, let me see if I have the Cybertruck manual handy. I might, because I'm a nerd. Going into my document server. Hopefully that's not logged out. Oh, it is. Can you log me in? 'Cause I don't know the password. Yeah, that one. Do it. No, not guest. Like I would let guest be a proper login to one of my servers. Oh, okay, so not that. Well, let's type in Cybertruck. And there it is, Cybertruck Owner's Manual from March. Let's go ahead and I don't want to download it. How am I going to move this to the other window without messing things up? I guess I can click download original and click open instead of download. Yep, open. All right, and then we're going to move Windows to the one you guys are looking at. Come on. Move tab to lies about Cybertruck. Uh, there you go. Let's put this back on YouTube. And now let's do a search in the manual for wade mode. There we go. Wade mode. All right, so in wade mode, let's go ahead and close the search. Don't need all this yellow everywhere. Let's make this the full width. And wait. There we go. Wade mode allows Cybertruck to enter and drive through bodies of water. This is especially useful when off-roading, and you need to drive, or when off-roading and you need to drive through water. That is an awkward sentence, such as creeks or rivers. Caution: it is your responsibility to gauge the depth of any body of water before entering. Damage or water ingress to Cybertruck as a result of driving in water is not covered by the warranty. Caution: always inspect the underwater conditions such as debris and etc. before entering and use your best judgment. Take care to drive slowly and safely. If the water is too deep, return to more shallow water or dry land. Uh, you don't have to remember to bring your manual. It's a part of the screen. And I believe that when you go to Wade mode, there's like a little eye icon you can click on. It'll take you right to the link in the manual. Lee says, not just a nerd, not a nerd, just well educated, and you do your research. Yeah. Future Ozzy says ankles deep, not meant for fording rivers. Yeah, they said streams. And so look here. Item number 1. They show you the wheel, right? And they got a little caution sign. You're not supposed to go, like right here, the maximum wade depth is approximately 32 inches, measuring from the bottom of the tire. The tires are 32 inches, so it doesn't even really matter what height you're in, although you should probably go a little higher to keep the belly of the truck as far out of the water as possible. You shouldn't go deeper than the depth of the tires. Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy says, which is funny because that's a normal feature of every car. Ankles deep water wading. Yeah, exactly. Assuming you don't float as soon as you go into the water. There are some cars that float before they get to ankle deep. Wade mode must be used anytime you're driving the Cybertruck through a shallow body of water, such as a river. To the river, we're talking like LA River, not like the Mississippi. Ensure all doors and windows are fully closed. Enable off-road mode. Navigate to controls, off-road modes, and wait. Note: your vehicle speed must be less than 20 miles per hour to enable wade mode. Seashells by the seashore. Wade mode defaults the vehicle's ride height to very high and protects the Cybertruck for up to approximately 32 inches of water, driving it at slow speeds of 1 to 3 miles per hour or 2 to 5 kilometers per hour. As the water depth changes, you must reduce your vehicle speed accordingly. Do not disable wade mode until your vehicle is fully out of water. In addition, the vehicle's high voltage battery automatically pressurizes to protect the battery from water and debris. Excuse me. Muddy waters can reduce the cooling system effectiveness by adhering to the radiator. See Cleaning Mud on page 180, which is a link, for more information on how to clean your vehicle after a muddy off-roading excursion. Wash your vehicle immediately. Right there in the manual, it tells you to wash your car. So for those people saying, oh, you can't wash the car, it's got a car wash mode, and they tell you after using wade mode you need to wash the car. So anyway, back to what we were talking about. Wash the vehicle immediately after wading to reduce the chances of bacteria buildup and mud hardening after drying. Both of those are important right there. You don't want to be driving a rolling petri dish, and once the mud is hardened on all the cooling elements, you've got a problem. Vehicles driving in waters. Is that the right line? Yeah. Vehicles driving in water should be regularly inspected for signs of water ingress or damage to components, including but not limited to the brakes, horn, lights, and steering wheel, etc. Speaking of the horn, my vehicle didn't go in the water at any point, but it did go on a tour of Alabama to avoid hurricane flow. And within a couple weeks of me getting the vehicle, the low horn had rusted out. And so I'd go to push the horn, and instead of sounding like a deep-throated American horn, it started sounding like a Japanese meat. And that's when we found out that the low horn had rusted out. It had a water line like across the middle of it. Somehow. Nothing else in the car had any sort of water line, so we know that they didn't get it flooded before delivery, but Tesla came in and the Mobile Tech replaced it, and we were good to go. Speaking of Mobile Tech, I took a video after having an inspection done of my car, and I've got to edit it as soon as I find where my wife put the camera, and I download the footage, and it's pretty important for those of you with the large rear motor. All right. Yep. Horn, steering wheel, lights, etc. All right. Wade mode duration is limited to 30 minutes, and caution on soft or muddy surfaces underwater. The Cybertruck may sink in, effectively increasing the water level on the vehicle. Take into account this possibility and prepare accordingly. Warning: never stop or place the vehicle in park when crossing water. Do not drive in. Oh, okay. Do not drive in water next to or immediately after another vehicle. Currents created by other vehicles can lead to damage. And warning: do not drive in deep, fast-flowing bodies of water, such strong currents or such as strong currents or rapids. Doing so can result in damage. Okay, so we've now educated ourselves on wade mode. Let's go back to this brilliant individual in was it Czechoslovakia? Yeah. So this part right here, where they're talking about Elon mentioned waterproof, blah blah blah, maybe as a boat for a short period. That's what made me go back and check when this thing was published. Mr. Olichgar Lunacy says that seems like a bit of a worry. Muddy waters can reduce cooling system effectiveness by adhering to the radiator. Exactly. And since this car is got an extreme level of everything attached to the heat pump, that becomes more important. Let's see. Not many doubts. Elon previously claimed it could be used as a boat, and then they said something about the government as if it was new. Where did I reload this after picking it? Oh, right there, the U.S. government expressed, and I was like, that. I don't remember them saying anything recently. I think it was like Elon said it, and then the Park Service. I don't even know if this was called X yet, but the Park Service replied to the tweet and said, "Yeah, don't do this." But that was months ago, which is why I was confused. Saw that in the manual page. Yeah. All right. So, while many doubt this, some individuals have just daringly decided to test this assertion themselves. I don't know why anyone needed to test it. So, you already had videos of folks trying wade mode and the car not floating. That should tell you that boat mode doesn't exist yet. In addition to the fact that the engineers told us that you need some more seals and probably a propeller or some kind of PTO before power takeoff, before the vehicle would be able to maneuver as a boat. And the other reason they don't want you to go deeper than the wheels, aside from water ingress, is that if the wheels come off of the bottom of the surface, you no longer have useful propulsion. Yeah, Elon said previously the Model S floating in a tunnel could use the wheels as propulsion, blah, blah, blah. Elon says stuff all the time. Sometimes he's joking and people can't tell. Sometimes he's being optimistic. Sometimes he's splitting hairs. And other times it is what people accuse him of doing. So anyway, this guy, driver trust Musk claim, ends up stranded in river. A man from the Czech Republic was curious about the waterproof function of the Cybertruck that Elon had mentioned. Feature also says seals may not be big enough. Probably need to be sea lion. I like it. Yes. The sea lions will be able to pull you and swim you faster for sure. So he arrived at the. So is it a river or is it a lake? Author, is it a river or is it a lake? Anyway, he arrived at the lake in Slovakia and began driving his Cybertruck. The results were disastrous. The Cybertruck got stuck in a lake with a bottom made of pebbles and could not move. The driver, who believed that even if he could not float, I don't know why he's thinking he can float, uh, he would be able to overcome a certain depth and drive stably. He had no choice but to receive help from people around him. And yes, he's in the Czech Republic where the vehicle is not yet on sale. So maybe he didn't have self service, right? The manual is built into the firmware, so even without service, you can read your manual. There could have been a language barrier, but if he knew enough that Elon said one day perhaps could be a boat, then he could find the translation services for the manual. Let's see. He had no choice but to receive help from the people around him. By digging out the gravel and placing wooden boards underneath the wheels, he managed to get the truck out of the water. Sounds like a FAFO situation. F around and find out. And now people are questioning the wade mode feature. Numerous failures are reported. It was a 2-page read, right? If that, page and a half. I'll let you go. Lucy says people should really, really be thinking before they do that. I've gotten to the point where I decided I can't trust the seals enough that I'm not going to use the Y for pulling a boat. and we've seen that with all the Model X's that end up at the bottom of lakes and rivers from launching a boat, and it's not that the car pushes them in or anything, but either the tide comes up on them or there's some water that happens, or usually what happens is the launch is some slick, and then they find themselves unable to get back up, and then the thing catches fire underwater repeatedly. Uh, he can overcome a certain depth, just not the depth attempted. Exactly, exactly. They took it a little bit too far. I I am curious the comments are going to happen here, but this is just the general public. Like I said, it was my homepage, so we're going to get all walks of life. Let's see if this is an intelligent comment situation or if it is just a dumpster fire. Nothing surprising there. Mustangs come up with ideas and they expect others to do the heavy lifting. So if I'm understanding this properly, you have about 30 inches of water and solid rock or concrete bottom. You might be okay. Yes, exactly. If this thing floats, what propels it? Nothing, because they haven't got to that step yet. And how much current can it overcome? Like none. I'll give you a thumbs up for a solid line of logical thinking. Let's see, same as most cars, they work for quite a while in the water. If they're more sealed, they go even longer, but that's a misleading article created by Elon hating people. I, I see. The article was created by people who hate Elon. Uh, like, he hasn't outwardly expressed the people he hates yet. Um, it uh, it didn't sync as the article states. All right, that's political stuff. I had enough politics last week. We'll try and stay out of politics this week. 24 amps of current. A little more than that. Cybertruck needs a secondary propulsion system to forge. No, it doesn't really. It needs it to float. All right, so yeah, like I said, it was going to be a dumpster fire in the comments. Let's move on to the rest of our stories for the week. How much current can it overcome? 48 volts, I imagine. 48 volts or 800 volts, right? Next article, the first one on the list is. Oh, let me make sure I didn't. This thing's on the bottom of the screen. I need to make it taller because the way I leave it, I won't ever see if anybody's waiting in the waiting room. Um, Let me also send something to Futurosa if he wants. Let me open my email real quick. Come on. My email has disappeared. That's helpful. There it is. That one's yours. Boom. Okay. Yeah. Okay, back to this. The first article we've got is kind of cool, kind of interesting. You may have seen some of this happening all over X. We've got a case where the Nissan Ariya EV lease prices have been cut with up to $13,000 off MSRP. So this is not the one I thought I was thinking of. Nearly the same as a Rogue. So you could buy a combustion small SUV, CUV, or you could get the electric one for pretty much the same price. Let's check out Electrek's article on it. That was the wrong way to do it. Let's just click, call it a day. We've got another Nissan article towards the end of the show that I thought was pretty cool. Maybe the beginning, maybe the beginning and the end. Anyway, 13 grand off of MSRP for the Aria is cheaper to lease than ever. New summer discounts, 2024 Aria, the lease prices are nearly identical to the Rogue. Aria sold for 35,556 on average with discounts, and it's right behind the Leaf at 27,956, 31% off on average. But through the end of July, Nissan is offering 10,000 off in lease cash on all 2024 Aria models. And in some cases, you can score up to 13,000 off MSRP. You guys know I don't get into too many of these changing in prices because they do it all the time. But when they're huge, I like to save you money where I can. So if you are interested in an Aria, you can get a 24-month lease, $7,500 discount, and 13,000, and your Aria Engage trim is at $169 per month, with 60 and 69 due up front. I'm sorry, 6,069, and that puts it near the price of the Rogue. So let's continue on. Uh-oh, and let me click this button here, and show on stream. There we go. Look who it is.
Is it me? Am I
It's
here?
Future
Did I make
Asa.
it?
Brian,
How are you?
doing great. How are you?
I just figured I'm harassing you in the chat so much, you might as well make it official, right?
Right, come on in.
Yeah. What fun we have.
We do. So this one I thought was another article. I gotta find it in the listing, but that's a decent deal off
Did you
of Aria.
see did you see all the crazy deals that Kyle Connor found on Leafs in Colorado?
Yeah, that's what I was
It's
gonna
a
talk about.
Okay, well then let's get into it.
Yeah, let's let me find it in the list and just move to that one next. But
Sure.
one of my friends, Spotted Model, he bought 4 Leafs, and then his family bought another 5. So his dealership is out. Let me. How do I search this thing? I don't know how to search my notes.
Do you get the credit that many times, or is it because it's a lease that it qualifies? I'm
I
not
think it's
clear
because
on
it's a
that.
lease. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I can do a Control F. That
I'm
should
going
be
to
something.
adjust my lighting a little so I don't look
Type in Leaf, and there it
quite
is.
such a dungeon. There we go.
We've got a lot
That's
of Leaf
better.
stories this week.
Oh, so many.
Yeah. Well, I don't have that particular one. Oh, you know what? It must be just like a Twitter link or X link where it doesn't have the title on it.
Mm-hmm. So for those who don't know, Kyle Connor found stackable discounts on a lease of the Nissan Leaf in Colorado, where if you live in Colorado and you qualify, you can stack these incentives, get a 24-month lease. You don't buy the car, you don't own the car. You get a total of 22 or 24,000 miles you can drive, and it's $500 down and $20 a month.
Not bad. Your insurance is
That's
going to cost you more than the car.
Your phone bill will cost you more than that.
Your water and
Yeah.
electric bill, if you use nothing for the month, will cost you more than the car.
I can't think of many things that cost less than $20 a month.
That's a good deal.
So that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. So take a look at Kyle's video if you're interested in that. And they stack. You got to be in Colorado, but it's not a bad deal. Brand new.
Yeah.
We're not talking like a used Leaf for a college kid.
Right. What an insane deal.
I agree.
And I don't want a Nissan Leaf and I don't want a lease, but at that price,
right,
I'd get it for my kids or something.
You got to consider it at least.
Yeah.
I'll just copy this link and paste it over here. I think I can just click on stuff. Sometimes it doesn't let me. Oh, what did I do? Let me undo. I pasted it in the same article. Copy a link and paste it in here, and then I'll try clicking the next one. So we've got this one from Sawyer, where I don't know why I've got a wonderful connection. I don't know why it loads so slowly on X. EV adoption is still on pace to reach 50% by 2030. We touched on this on the Tesla Life show. I don't remember if it was the main show or one of the expresses, but this is good and it's exciting, and we're going to continue to make progress no matter what happens with the incentives and regulations. But as we saw with New Zealand, if the stuff that people are talking about, like vice presidential candidate Vance, just giving money to the fossil cars and taking it away from the electric cars, you can definitely make a measurable dent in said progress even if
Well, there's a thing like putting your finger on the scale, and then there's a
yeah,
thing where you just break the scale, just throw
right,
the scale out the window, load it up with bricks on one side first, and then set it on fire. Which is, I think the outcome that would have. I don't
yeah.
think that was a serious proposal by Mr. Vance. I think that was uh,
Well, the first part
some
was
red
serious.
meat for the
Take it
base.
away from the EVs.
Oh, for sure. 100% for sure. That is a steadfast pledge day one. And I've seen a lot of people counter by saying, yes, but Elon said they should also get rid of the oil subsidies.
They're going to
That's
stop at step
cool.
1.5. They're not going to go to
Right.
step 2.
Right. No one has proposed step two. No
Yeah,
politician, no party. That one's not on the table. It's like we saw there was this disaster in Arizona with their state funding where they hired this brilliant economist to solve their budget problem. And he said, okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to take out a loan for, $300 million, and then you're going to cut X, Y, and Z, and it's going to balance the budget. And they said, perfect. Take out a giant loan. Got it. Okay, thanks. He's like, no, 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 no. And they did. They sold the state capital to a private firm that they then rented it back from for way more than they paid, and it
equity sound
was
like.
an absolute disaster. And they're like,
Wow.
well, I mean, we followed one of the recommendations provided by a brilliant economist. I don't know how we could have possibly goofed this up.
Right. Like, wow. Like, you'll see that with other private equity situations. They'll buy a company and then they'll take out, they'll sell all the land and rent it back to them from their other company for more than they were ever paying. And
Right.
oh my, your favorite restaurant is going out of business.
That's so weird. I don't understand how it happened. But when you do it with government situations, there is no going out of business. The money
That part.
must come somewhere.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Electric, they pulled a red lobster on state-owned assets.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. I am glad you are here to give us that. Now that
We
I'm
have,
not in the chat making jokes, someone has to take up the mantle.
that's right. So this is watch the Tesla Life show to see our kind of conclusion on that. But I don't think that Tesla will be hurting right away, but this will hurt our goal of clean transportation for everybody, and it won't stop it because as we keep saying with the electric semis, where you get all these gas and diesel people, blah 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 blah, they're not the bean counters. The bean counters are gonna take one look at the chart and say, oh, that's what we need. This works for half our routes. We're gonna start with half our trucks. They
Right.
don't have a
And
yeah.
that's exactly right. The bean counters make those decisions. I don't care if it's cool. I don't care if it's ugly. I don't care if it's traditional. I only care about the pennies. That's my job. And if it works for 10% of our use case today, we're going to aim for 10%. And it'll continue expanding as the technology improves. Why wouldn't it?
Right.
So, yeah, you, I know people that just love diesel. Really? Have you ridden in a diesel big rig? Because your organs get rattled around. It's
Yes.
unpleasant. It is not a fun driving experience. They've
Right.
gotten a lot better in the last 20, 30 years, but they're still not as good as an electric. And it's nice to see that everybody is pushing forward on those fronts. The thing you guys were talking about on the Tesla Life, a show I guess I recommend. It's okay. is no, is that there will be winners and losers no matter what happens. That's
Mhm.
always the case. But in a world where electrification is not a priority, the winner is going to be like at a score of 50 instead of 80. You're still in first place. You didn't lose as bad as the other guys, and you can say you're the winner. But really, wouldn't it be great if all of the companies were scoring in the 80 to 100% range on these very important metrics?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
The only way I think we could ever see these companies and I guess the individuals are not as easily swayed off of their prejudices, but is if company X has enough customers threaten them and that they feel that the threat is credible, that if you don't smoke up their neighborhood, that they're going to leave you. But they might even still try at 5%. If their number was 10%, they might try 5% and see if anybody actually does leave. And if they
yeah.
don't, then they'll continue to the 10% because
A
It's a
good example was
yeah,
when um, Tesla did their big price cuts last year when they dropped prices 5 grand.
yeah.
I saw a lot of people on social media, Reddit, Facebook, X saying, boy, I really hate that guy, but 5 grand. This is the best. I mean, this is so everyone has a price, and apparently for a lot of buyers, it's $5,000.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
$20 a month in the Leaf case.
that's the thing. If you asked me 2 days ago, what would it take for me to buy a Leaf to get to lease a Nissan Leaf? I'd have said there is no price. And
Right.
then you'd have said $500 down, 20 a month. I'd have said, oh, you know what? I would have paid more than that.
Yeah. But I'll take that.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Um, Joel is asking how much of Elon's 45 million a month donation will help slow the anti-EV roll. Well, again, this is a case where I say Elon says stuff and he might be splitting hairs here.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but whatever Elon is doing, I know his goal is not to hurt EVs,
Well,
but
it's
he's
not
a
his
little up in his
goal.
feelings right now.
Right. It's not his goal to his stated mission is to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy. But the people that he's supporting, uh, whether
Yeah,
we haven't seen confirmation of if it's financial, but we know he's supporting them on X by reposting and amplifying their message.
oh
Um,
yes,
those people do not appear to share this mission, so it's a real literal head scratcher. And that's not just because I am burned on my scalp and have blisters, but literally I do, metaphorically I don't. But there's, yeah, it's any amount of support, whether it's financial or otherwise, for candidates who do not support electrification is, in my opinion, a step in the wrong direction.
that's right. All right, so let's paste this in here, and that's not to say that he doesn't do things impulsively. He definitely does. So we've seen it in all of his
Yeah.
biographies.
Yeah.
Oh,
Eliminating the entire supercharger division was impulsive.
yeah,
And I pushed back on that, and I got a whole lot of flack from people for questioning that this was the right decision. It was not the right decision. Elon backtracked on it. Elon's the first to tell you he's not infallible.
right.
But yeah, I just go where the facts lead me, and that means a lot of times people get very upset with me for not sharing their emotion based beliefs.
There you go. So Inside EVs was having themselves a certificate error again. I've direct messaged them about that. I haven't received a response back yet. Hopefully they and their network fix it. But for now, we'll skip them and come back later. 2025 Lucid Air Pure has set a record as the world's most efficient car at 5 miles per kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
How about that?
So I have been, I don't know if you know this, Casey, but I have been deeply skeptical of Lucid in the past.
Yeah,
And a lot of my theories later proved true. And a lot of the things that I'd heard from insiders were later validated by the 10K, their 10Q results. Is that what I'm looking for?
yeah,
Where they were talking about where it shows their warranty reserves and their warranty payouts. This, however, is a slightly different beast. This is efficiency, which is hard to game. You
it is.
can you can overclock your PC to get a few more flops out of it at the cost of longevity,
Yeah,
but you can't make it consume less power. So this suggests that they actually have done something pretty special, and it's encouraging. The only
it
thing
is.
that's missing is that they still ain't selling any.
There's that part. But the cool thing here, though, is even if others can't make this work, they can buy a Lucid Air, tear it apart, and learn something.
Yeah, yeah.
So this will be good
Uh,
for everybody.
yes, there are still people who say, "Well, someone's going to swoop in and buy out this company." They're
They
not.
might.
They're no, their market cap is far too high
Oh,
relative to the value of the IP that they have. They would have to have a very serious downturn in valuation to put them in any risk of being bought out.
so if the Saudis don't rescue them, then they're going to end up like Fisker.
Oh yeah,
If
no,
they subtract the
100%.
tracking.
100%. If the once that tap stops flowing, it's over. Now,
Yes.
plenty have argued the tap will not stop flowing because even the billions they're pouring in is a rounding error for a uh, sovereign wealth fund of that magnitude, and that is true. Unfortunately for shareholders today, that means they're going to see homeopathy levels of dilution before the company actually turns a profit.
Are you a Lucid shareholder? Yeah, in theory. um,
Mm,
so,
mm.
Mr. Illogical Lunacy says he gets flack for even suggesting that rental cars should have normal turn signal stocks. I think that should be easy enough for them to do, either aftermarket or as some sort of special rental only trim, to just put that Model 3 stock back in there, because we see that it still fits on the other cars, at least until it doesn't. But currently it does still fit, and with a small
Well,
software shim, get to work.
the wiring doesn't connect from there to there. That part of the wiring harness has surely been deleted. So it's not just a matter of putting the stocks back in. They have to do all the wiring in between, the validation, the testing, and then it complicates the manufacturing process, especially if you're doing two different versions. Um, there is an aftermarket one that I have seen online. I haven't seen any reviews of it or anything, that just goes around and clamps on, and there you go. Now you've got stocks again. But yeah, I don't know.
If that's important to the rental company, they can get the aftermarket, as long as they're not, it doesn't void the warranty and it's not opposed to the way they run their company.
But they
And
won't because it's an extra step.
that part.
Yeah.
So many people in my family would have better health nowadays, excuse me, if their big rigs had been electric. And Aunt would be here if she had auto lane keep. Yeah. Yeah, like my mom's rig. Every now and then, if I kept her on the phone and somebody like encroaches on her lane, she moves over a little bit. You hear the damn thing, it's just beeping away. Like, oh, somebody's in your lane again, aren't they? She's like, yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they have that.
Oh,
But
yes.
good. Good. Makes sense. I see a whole lot of semis that do not have a good time staying in their own lane on the highways.
I'm a victim
That
of
will
it.
yeah, that will just drift. Just drift.
Yes. Or worse, the wind will catch the trailer, and there's nothing the thing can do to react in time unless it had its own anemometers on it, and they usually
I
don't.
don't I'm sure you've seen it. I don't know how many people watching have seen it, where you're on the highway, you're out in the plains, and the semi is clearly not carrying any load in the back, and that trailer is just dancing in the wind, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Worse, the ones that flip over.
Well,
That's got to be scary.
okay, I haven't seen that one in person, but yeah, that's
I've seen the aftermath. I haven't watched what happened, thankfully, because that would mess me up.
yeah, yeah.
So let me try to reload that inside EVs. Maybe I'm on the other server now. I think what it is like one of their load balancers has just got the old cert. Yep, there it goes. Fisker recalls every single car sold in the U.S. again. So we were talking about Lucid and Fisker, and here's Fisker. I
Fisker, I barely know her. There is it's unfortunate to have recalls for a company that doesn't exist or have the capacity to do them. I hope that I hope that there's someone who will like leak the key to unlocking so that people can continue to service and work with their Fiskers in the future. But Magna, who made all the parts, is under no obligation to continue making those parts available for repairs. It is my hope that they would, but I very strongly doubt it. And I imagine whatever parts have already been made will be shelved for that purpose because it's cheaper to warehouse them than throw them away. And I just don't think those poor cars have any future at all.
that one company is pretty smart to buy them all for pennies on the dollar. I kind of wish that I had the opportunity to, just like the Leaf. I would definitely pick one up for like 10,000 and
Oh,
figure
for
something
sure.
to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is this recall on? It didn't make it clear in the article. It just said they're all recalled again. Faulty water pumps. So new units have an improved coating on the PCB, but seeing as other companies currently undergoing bankruptcy, there's a chance that some owners may never see their cars repaired.
Yeah.
This is the risk.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I feel bad for those buyers, but they had to understand that it was a very real risk. I think Tesla has left a number of buyers of new vehicles under the impression that these companies cannot and do not fail. And the fact that Rivian and Lucid are still going pretty strong lends credence to that very flimsy belief. Uh, but Fisker didn't have the opportunities that Rivian and Lucid had. They didn't have the big funding out of the gate. They didn't
Right.
have their own factories. There were a lot of pretty insurmountable headwinds.
Plus, their name was tainted from when they started. Like,
Right,
fool me twice, eh?
right, right. What? Well, Aptera didn't really change their name, and they are
Doing slightly
facing.
better.
I mean, are they? They haven't made
Maybe.
it to production yet.
Yeah.
Their model is a lot cheaper, so hopefully that's going to be enough to put them at the advantage they need.
Yeah. I'd like to see them succeed. I don't want any of them to fail, but I mean, it's just a matter of fact that they will not all succeed.
Aptera had a wonderful opportunity when they were saying, look, we're going to have a $35,000 car. They would have been the cheapest on the market. But now there are already $35,000 cars that are more traditional than an Aptera and
Right.
also available today. And
Today,
that's
and they're not
a
punishment boxes either. They're compelling.
right. Well, the Aptera is a very cool car, and
Yeah.
they can still survive by aiming for a sliver of the market that just wants the cool factor, the around town factor, the I can park it in the sun and never need to charge it factor. All of
Yeah.
those are going to be hugely helpful.
And 1,000 miles of
But
charge.
yeah, yeah, and well, will to be determined, right? But
Right.
we
They just
will
changed the
have to
numbers.
wait and see, right? They, yes, um, but we'll have to wait and see what it actually does cost when it comes out, how it actually performs when it comes out, and biggest of all, if it comes out.
Hope it does, because for them to fail twice would suck.
It'd be
Let's
the end of
just
it,
see. Uh,
presumably.
to be clear, grandparents and parent that drove the big rigs aunt hit a pole because she looked in the back seat. Ooh, yeah, it's a lot more simple to put it on a car or small SUV. Just thinking about tech that would have made a difference. Yeah. Joel says, I find it hard to feel bad for people that bought a Fisker. I wish all EV companies survive, but of all the EVs to buy, you buy one from a founder who previously failed. Yeah, and not only did they fail, but like their whole fleet at the end of it lit on fire after getting Hurricane Sandy in the in the cooling.
Mm.
um, I'm honestly worried about how well or poorly first and second gen Volt buyers are going to be supported in the second decade of those cars on the road. It's already proven that GM is not supporting them as well as they should.
Mm.
Parking in the sun is such a game changer for the condo and apartment townhouse street parking crowd. Absolutely. Uh, Brian, you said you got a little sunburn. What were you doing, and where did you go?
Oh, so I'm still in Monterrey, Mexico. I came down to see the site of Giga Mexico. I got to meet with the drone pilot, Adrian CG, and we were scheduled to meet again yesterday. But he mostly works in Dallas and flies back to Monterrey each weekend to be with his family. And flights this weekend got a little mucked up a bit. So he
Yeah,
was not able to come back and see me. So I've gone to Monterrey, Mexico. I've seen the sites, but I've also gone to the Chinese EV car dealers. I've looked at a number of the Chinese cars, the JAC, the MGs, the BYDs, the Omidas, and there are a bunch of other brands, the Chiris, the JAC, the GACs, the SAICs, the BAICs, a whole lot of them are here, but they're not really here. They're not really on the road. On the road, I've seen a BYD, two BYDs, and about 8 Teslas. And that's it for electric cars. I've seen gas MGs, I've seen
yeah.
gas JACs on the road, but no electrics. And it's
So are
very,
they in production, or are they just still spooling up their plants?
oh,
From what you
the
see,
plants aren't the plants aren't in production yet. China
oh,
is a member of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, so they can import Chinese cars here without outrageous tariffs. Um, the only the only car factory in the Monterey area is Kia uh, slash Hyundai. They build both there, but they're not building electrics just yet. And then way on the other side of town is the future site of Giga Mexico. Big questions linger there, and other than that, everything here is parts and tier 2 and 3 suppliers.
so they're just imports, right? Basically, the ones that you see on the road.
They are They are.
Wow.
And which factory do you think makes the Models 3 and Y that are for sale in Mexico?
Fremont or Shanghai?
Shanghai.
Ah,
Hmm. Okay.
is it cheaper?
That's
Shanghai.
how
Oh, you know what it is?
I
Not
think
necessarily cheaper, but the benefit of keeping the California cars in the U.S. is
for the
greater for
credit.
the U.S. customers.
Yes. So now that now that they yeah, they want to keep every US made car in the US where it qualifies for the credits. And Canada and Mexico are both served by Giga Shanghai. So if you order a Tesla here, you have to actually order it and wait because it's got to get on a boat and head out. So it's
Holy cross the
pretty,
ocean.
yes, it's pretty interesting. I've got this list of this video I'm making. I shot it the other day where I went to a busy intersection and let the camera run for 10 minutes straight. So you could see cars passing in two different directions. And my
Yeah,
question for viewers is, how many electric cars do you see in this video?
at least
Because
two.
I hope it was two. I didn't pay the most attention at the time. I think I saw one.
Oh,
So there was over 10 minutes at a busy intersection near rush hour. So this is doesn't speak well for electrification. And one problem is there's no buyer incentives here.
right,
Another is that not everyone has home charging. If you live
right.
in if you live anywhere other than kind of a single family home, you cannot charge your car. You
And
know,
even then, it
the
has to be one
place,
that can support it.
yeah, yeah. And the place I'm saying is this beautiful new high rise apartment building, and there's no EV charging here. So if you had one here, you couldn't charge. And if you go to a public charger, your gas savings is erased. And there aren't very many public chargers yet.
Yeah, and in
So,
time too. 'Cause instead of being
yes,
10 minutes, it's now 30 minutes at a minimum.
well, and instead of being 30 minutes, it might be a destination charger at a hotel where you might as well park for the night.
Right. Yeah, I was
I,
assuming
I
easy
hope you
charging, right?
have I hope you have a reason to go to that hotel every week for a few hours.
This spouse have
Uh,
so many questions.
so yeah, it's interesting, and right now is a difficult market for interest rates. That's not helping.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would say a kind of a last item on the list for low adoption is there are no mechanics yet. I mean, there are really
Oh,
no
yeah.
mechanics for electric cars here other than the dealerships, which is great because you've got a warranty. But
What about
when
when
that
you're out of warranty?
warranty, when you're out of warranty, you can't bring it down to your neighborhood shop, of which there are tons and tons here. Very
They don't have the
small.
experience yet. Yeah.
They can't. So
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
they might not even have right to repair there, so they might not even have the tools if they do have the experience.
Oh my
Ooh,
gosh, I didn't think of that, but yeah, huh?
wow.
Interesting.
So while we're still on that topic, the BYD pickup truck was spotted in, what was it, Texas or California the other day?
Okay,
I was again
it's
under
a
the impression,
hybrid.
oh, it's a hybrid. Okay, but I
The
was
one
still under.
I've seen is a hybrid.
It's a plug-in hybrid like the Volt or Prius.
Yes.
Okay,
I have in my I made a video about BYD that came out I think yesterday
okay, I'll have to
from
take a look at
my
it.
trip over to the showroom, and they had one on display. It's a
Nice.
really nice looking truck. It's well built, and it's like $35,000, maybe $40,000.
It's not bad for pickup.
Uh, Not bad for a pickup, but it is a hybrid because electrifying a pickup truck with LFP batteries would not probably get you the kind of range that most buyers would find acceptable.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I think that the Dodge Ram Charger or the Ram Charger, the Chrysler, the Ram Charger. Either way, that vehicle there, that's not the pure electric one. I think it will do better than the EV enthusiasts expect, because you will be able to do long distance towing. You will be able to use it at places that you're on a business trip, like you're doing something and you can't recharge it, but yet it's got the generator. I think that will do better for longer than we expect if they
I
stay
think.
true to. Hmm?
Oh, go ahead.
If they stay true to their promise, like the original Volt, where it's a series hybrid, the engine doesn't connect to the wheels, it's purely a generator, blah blah blah, and then it's still got a full size battery like a real EV, unlike
Right.
older series hybrids. Yeah,
Right. So what you're going to get with that is uh, the first, 100, 200 miles is going to be nothing but an EV. On downhill runs, you're going to recharge your battery, which is really helpful when you're towing
Yeah,
because just downshifting, it just uses more fuel to go slower, or you burn up your brakes. So that's all going to be helpful. Um, you know, we may be looking at a future here in the next couple of years where hybrids take center stage. We have the technology to bypass this ridiculous era, but we may not have the will to bypass it. Um, there are times when intermediate steps cost too much. If
yeah,
you look at remote communities in South America and Africa, they said, well, these places are never going to get telephones because the amount of distance we would need to cover with copper is too great. And they said, copper, we're going straight to wireless.
yeah.
And so these communities connected with, as long as you've got enough electricity and a tower, your whole community is now connected. And yeah, trying to run fiber to every village in the world would be impossible if
Exactly.
only somebody would launch some satellites, but they'd need a prohibitive number, like 5, 10,000 of them, which is ridiculous. You can't do that.
Who would ever do that?
I tell you, man, I love to share this story. When I meet people who are as into this as you and I say, okay, I got a pitch meeting. I'm going to pitch you. You ready? This is crazy, but you're going to love it. First of all, I'm going to need a few $1 billion. Just getting that out of the way up front. We're going to create a satellite internet system that instead of using like 5 or 10 satellites is going to use 5 or 10,000. You say, wait, isn't that more than has been launched in the history of the world? I go, yeah, no problem. I got this, no problem. And it's going to need to be launched at a pace that's never been seen on a number of launch. Well, you can't. What are you going to do? Build 100 rockets? No. We're going to just keep reusing the same ones. It's going to be awesome. And again, I need billions of dollars. And then we're going to need ground stations all over the world. And we're going to need them to connect via lasers, which has never been done before. So, I mean, first of all, a couple billion, Casey, you in? Hell
We
no.
need
Are you
trillions.
in, are you insane? If any part of this doesn't work, we're
Yeah,
done. But every part worked. So it's,
there it is.
yeah. And then at the end of it, I say, now I just need $100 because I have to pay back the guy who wrote that presentation. But no one's biting.
Right?
It's worth a shot.
Yeah, it's worth a shot. So that Windows outage, oof, interesting. When you look it up, the CEO of CrowdStrike was now the CTO of McAfee at the time. It caused a similar widespread Windows-related outage with DAT 5958. Also, just a couple weeks ago, CrowdStrike did the same thing to Unix-based systems, Unix and Linux-based systems, and prior to that, they had several major data breaches. I don't know why people are still using this company, other than that they're on the approved list.
Oh, no, it's you misunderstand. The idea is because they secure your data, they have blackmail on us, all of us.
Oh,
So we can't stop using them. It would be really bad for everyone's marriages, I guess. I don't know. No, I don't know. Is it that what they offer is so unique that another provider can't just step in or
I think it might purely be that that's on some organizations. That's just all that's on the approved purchase list because
hmm.
it's built into Windows now. If you're running a modern version of Windows, you could use like the whatever became of McAfee. I don't know what they call themselves now. They've changed their name like 8 times since then. You could use any of the competition, but it seems that they're the
Have
biggest.
you have you had any problems this week because of it?
None. We don't use them.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't had any problems. My friend who was here with me, his Saturday flight was delayed an hour and a half because of the Friday outages.
Yeah,
Um, I assume by Monday when I fly out that it'll probably be caught up or I'll be not too late.
yeah.
But it's yeah, interesting to see.
There was a comment on one of your videos where they pointed out the boots on the ground versus just re-reporting. So, um, in that, you had a lot of people blaming Microsoft for this. I feel that the only culpability Microsoft has is that it wasn't more resilient to this kind of tampering by a third-party vendor. but it wasn't their fault that all this stuff went down. It was you did this to yourself.
CrowdStrike.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
this was a kernel written by a third party. Yeah. Yeah. That's like blaming Ford for U-Haul having problems with their trucks.
Exactly like that. Yeah, assuming that it wasn't something in the engine or the base chassis, like
Right.
because the boxes,
Right.
like boxes, are just dumping all your stuff on the floor because the doors failed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You know, U-Haul.
yeah.
I've
Uh,
never I've never had a problem with U-Haul.
oh,
Well,
too many
I've never
people.
had an unacceptable problem with U-Haul.
Okay, I give you that. Yeah, I really wish that more things were manufactured close to where they're sold. Yeah, and I think that's going to become easier to do now that we're electrifying everything. That Mercedes e-Sprinter on out of spec going up and down the mountains was impressive. Yeah, I liked that. I did not like the color, but I liked the performance. A
I
friend of
don't
mine,
remember. I think by the way, the Mercedes is, I think, built in the US. Somebody can
yeah,
look that up, but it's a domestic product.
it's actually built around the corner from where I'm sitting right now.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
And the Ford Sprinter is also built in the US. And of course, Rivian and Bright Drop. And of course, uh, yeah, I think that's it.
yeah. And when I say around the corner, I'm talking like if there's no traffic, we're talking 3 to 6 minutes.
Oh, wow. That is
Yeah.
around the corner.
Um, And then the next comment was a friend of mine in rural PA is really tired of HughesNet, and it sounds like he's about to switch to Starlink. He should have done that a long time ago. My grandma had HughesLink, and she had the weird one they have where you send your commands back over dial-up, and then they blast it back
Oh,
to through, over the satellite, so you have better latency. It was terrible. She
oh my
has
gosh.
good internet now.
Oh, so she doesn't have 2000 millisecond ping.
She moved, but yeah, that's one way to
Yeah.
solve it. No, blaming MS for the CrowdStrike thing is like blaming Ford for your bolts on turbo manufacturer. Yes, exactly like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so this one, I wasn't really going to get into the article from Electrek. I just like the concept. The Waylake M3 Max has two motors and a full suspension and a fat tire bike. So I've always been, since a kid, I've always wondered why we didn't have two-wheel drive bikes. There's a two-wheel drive bike. Fantasy handled.
Hmm. Hmm. Uh, yeah, I guess I'd never thought about an all-wheel drive bicycle, but yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. All right. So this one,
Yeah, it would get you a little bit more, and you wouldn't
yeah,
need a whole lot of horsepower to the front.
exactly. And then now that they're electric, you can put some regen on there. Electric cars cost less than a similar gas car over 5 years. And is that a two-part? I've got one that's got two parts. I don't. So in the places in red, I believe, this was a while ago. The places in red are the places where this is not true. So in Maine and West Virginia. Uh, and we're not talking a lot of money because look where the scale goes. The scale topped out at negative 2,000. And
Interestingly, I can only see you and me.
oh, they need to do more about that. Can I send you the projector back? Let me see if I can send you the projector back. I can send you the camera.
Don't
It's not
worry about it. Let me do this. Hang on,
okay.
because what I've done is pulled up the YouTube feed and it just muted it.
I got it.
So there we go.
I got it. The window capture. Ha. All right. So we've got West
Okay,
Virginia
there we go.
and Maine, where
Okay.
it is 0 to negative $2,000 in savings over 5 years.
How?
I'm curious what their methodology is. Yes.
Yeah, because that's very weird. Um,
You know what though? I wonder if they're
huh.
counting taxes and stuff too, because a bunch of these
Oh.
states do that stupid. You're not burning gas, so we're gonna just throw an arbitrary number out there.
Washington State does that, so I'm paying, I think, an extra 200 a year for the benefit of making it quieter and cleaner for you to be near me.
Right. South Carolina and Virginia are around $400-500 each. South Dakota's
Ooh,
50. 50, I think, is fair.
wow. Well, even 100, I think, is fair,
Yeah.
but I think I'm paying 250. When I had my 2008 Zen electric neighborhood electric vehicle,
Yeah.
I did not have to pay that because it goes so slow.
Oh.
It's only on vehicles over, I think, 35 miles an hour. And yeah,
But the electricity
people would
is
ask
patented.
me, yeah, but uh, the real thing with those neighborhood electric vehicles is you really can't use them.
Right. You have
Charging
to like live in the
full,
villages, Florida,
yeah.
to make it easier.
I had a guy ask me what my 0 to 60 was, and I said,
Never.
no, no. I did talk to a guy who converted his to go, I think 45, and I said that sounds terrifying, and he
Right.
said
It was.
it was because even 35, when you're at 35, you're like, ooh, this is getting hairy, man.
Yeah.
But
So
not
this was
built for
another
that.
one I didn't spend a lot of time on. I just want to kind of touch on it that it happened. It's like a very Nissan heavy show. I think that's why that Nissan Leaf ended up in the thumbnail graphic. The Nissan Aria Nismo heads to Europe to resurrect the performance brand there. So the Nismo brand apparently has not been in Europe for a while, and now it's back.
And what a way to disappoint people.
Right.
Uh, I've ridden in the Nissan Areola, what'd you call it? The Urea, but
Aria.
it Aria, that's right. But it was at the LA car show and it was when it just came out. So the driver insisted on tearing around this very small little track indoors at just unpleasant speeds while it's squealing like crazy on the polished concrete floors. It seems like a fine car. But it'll all come down to, is it worth the money?
I said I wasn't going to get straight into politics on this, but Biden dropped.
What? Right now?
My phone is blowing up right now.
Oh,
I will definitely
wow.
want to discuss this with you after the show because
Yeah,
what
because
is
I don't want to chat on the show.
not about this.
How
So let's
about
continue on. Like I said,
this?
didn't want to spend a lot of time on the Aria, but it's cool that Nismo is back. And then just like the Mustang Mach-E disappointed the true Mustang diehards, I don't know that the Nismo coming back on an electric SUV is what they were expecting.
Did I tell you why it's called a Mustang?
Is it like how the Accord Cross Tour was called an Accord, and how the Nissan Pathfinder Armada was called the
So my buddy Bert was an engineer at Ford and
yeah,
he worked on that division. He worked on the battery and drivetrain for the Mach-E.
yeah,
And it was originally called the Explorer.
oh,
And they were
like the
building
one
the
in
new
Europe, the ID4.
well, this was long enough before, but yes, the idea is that but they wanted an electric Explorer. And then they came in one day and found out, oh, by the way, we're calling it the Mustang Mach-E. And they're like, what? This isn't they're like, well, it's fun. It's fast. And they're like, well, yes, that's all true. And they said, if we call it the Explorer, we will not be able to build enough of them to satisfy demand. So
Ah,
we're going to name it after the car we sell 60,000 of.
okay, that makes
So it
sense
was,
now, and I get their
yeah,
reasoning. But
they
still,
gave it the wrong name on purpose.
okay. They should have also made the Kappa Camaro, the sports car version EV. They should, and they made two, maybe three of those Mustangs. They should have done some of those as well.
Where's the Miata? I want the electric Miata.
What is up?
Anybody can build that.
What is up with the Japanese? Why can't they do electric?
Um, yeah,
And
I've
why
made a
can't
number
they?
of
Why
shows
do they
on it.
refuse to?
I've made a number of shows on it. There's so connecting the dots is of the opinion that it's because China controls the batteries, and I have not found evidence to support that conclusion because Panasonic was the world leader in
They're
EV
Japanese.
batteries.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then you've
And
got
then
South Korea. They're friendly with them.
they're close allies with Korea, which is LG, Samsung. I mean, right there, you're talking a good, even today, a third of the world's EV batteries. So there's a lot there.
And you've got
And
us
then
in
you've
Canada for supplies.
yes, and well, yes, but China still controls all the precious minerals, right? But lithium is everywhere,
Yeah.
and an
We're
LFP
coming over.
battery, which is no longer under patent,
Yeah.
LFP batteries don't use any nickel or manganese or cobalt or things that are hard to get.
I
So
design.
I don't buy any of that. I don't buy any of it.
My theory was with them focusing on the e-fuels and the hydrogen is they just didn't want to change the paradigm of going someplace to get more miles.
I guess it's a real head scratcher. And the thing is, they will electrify
Oh, they will.
because they wish to be part of. unlike Ford and GM, who kind of feel like they're on a path to only sell in the US, Japan will not do that. Japan will not retreat to their own shores. And if they wish to continue selling outside of the developing world, Africa, South America, Latin America, if they wish to sell in all the big markets, they're going to have to electrify. So,
Like Ethiopia is not a big market, but they're already all electric. Norway will be there next year, and
wow.
but those are just the tip of the spear. Because once those two are done,
Yes.
you have no excuse to say my country can't do it, except for the Australian farmer who's always ragging on me, and the fact that the U.S. is so resistant to change quickly.
Wow. Wow. Today has turned into an interesting day, Casey.
It has, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, Genesis is launching a exclusive luxury EV platform to close the gap with Tesla. I don't comment too much on future project that's not like imminent, but I think that's a good move.
Right. Well, so my experience, and Genesis is Hyundai, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
My experience with them is they don't tend to make announcements like this that are not real.
right. Not
Now,
like get
now,
rid of 50 EVs in 2 years.
right now, if you go to CES, you're going to see their Dreamer division crack out some genuinely dumb stuff. But when it comes to actual press releases, um, and they've been showing prototypes at car shows for years that are just works of art, just so beautiful, they'll never make them. But I think uh, an exclusive luxury EV platform, I think that's what they need to do, because what I'm hearing you say there is from the ground up. We're not going to
Yeah,
just jam batteries into an existing car, because
that's
that's
Nero.
always it's the worst. It's okay. It's the second worst way to do it,
Right.
but it's still not great. So
Yeah.
I did
While
have
we're
a
on that
chance
though,
to. Oh,
the
just real quick, I did have a chance to drive the Ford Escort electric car.
oh, nice.
Escort. What was it? The Focus. Maybe it was the Focus.
Oh yeah, I drove the
And
prototype of that one. That was fun.
what I did was say, uh, I have some questions about this that I know this salesman who I've done videos with can't
Yeah.
answer. So I'm going to see if I can get Bert to answer them right now. And then I had Bert from Ford answer the rest of my questions, and I went back to it. It was pretty fun.
That was a fun little
Yeah.
car. The blue green ones, right?
Well, yeah, with the back end sagging down because they put all the batteries over the back axle.
Right, right. And then the RV bar in the front that they towed them with F-150s to recharge them on the track.
Oh gosh, that's hilarious. So you were saying about
Oh, with all these manufacturers stepping back to hybrid, I'm hoping that those are plug-in hybrids. Because if they're just like bad Priuses, that's not going to work.
yeah, and so my friend bought a Toyota Highland, and he bought, isn't that what it's called? Highland, whatever it is, the large SUV. And I
Oh yeah, the
said,
Toyota
"What
Highlander.
Highlander?" I said, "What was your decision that made you decide against pure electric? I've let you
Yeah,
drive one. You loved it." He said, "Size. I need the size. I've got two kids. The in-laws come to visit. We need room for six people plus their stuff, and we're not going to spend 100 grand on something that's less
athletics on the
that's
outside.
less has less utility." He goes, "But I did get the hybrid. I insisted because I did want to vote with my dollars saying more batteries, please," which is what you get with the hybrid.
Yeah, that's what I like about the Mitsubishi is it's still got the plug-in on it, even though it's not high range. We
Which
got
Mitsubishi?
the Outback PHEV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got a couple more in the chat. Let's see. Um, the East Bridger and the Mount. Watch
I
Stride.
don't know who Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy is, but it's a very fun account and I enjoy
It is
it.
fun. Yes, I'm okay with paying 200 as the proposal for us in Florida, but only if the trucks twice my weight are paying more than $90. Yeah, I agree with that. The whole step one plus step two equal playing field. Yeah, exactly. They stopped at step one and they're not going to go to step two. Don't forget the
Yeah.
Ford Focus Dually. Yeah, that was we were talking about that on the Tesla Life show, putting these weird names on the cars, and so we talked about the what's the most recent one that Ford did?
Capri?
Capri, yes. And then we said, what
Yeah.
about the Focus and the Focus Dually? And then I said the Escort. And Yes. If they're not
The Escort RS. Wait a
yes,
minute.
would be an F-350 electric. Uh,
Well,
if they're not like
apparently we saw them testing an F-250 with hub motors, which
yes, yeah, I think we got a
hub
picture of that.
motors are
Yeah,
not are not hub motors create new problems
they do.
because of unsprung weight. Putting all that weight outboard of the suspension can create problems. And an F-250 would have a, I assume, a pretty substantial electric motor in terms of both size and weight, which would create new problems.
Yes,
So I hope that what we're seeing is incorrect, that what we're seeing is our misunderstanding of the photograph and not Ford's actual plan. And I've
okay.
seen plenty of people on social media saying, no, 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 let them see if they can do it. Okay.
It could be a
But,
one-off prototype.
right.
Yeah,
And, right. Because it's not going into production. I'm telling you that.
yeah,
But, um, I, we have things that work. I mean, we could start with those and keep the hub thing on the under development while we don't wait for perfection. Just
right. That's what Dad Terry did. These things aren't going to be
yeah,
ready. Let's move on.
yeah,
And I think that's a smart move, especially when you don't yet have a product on the road to sustain you.
yeah,
Uh, or in the case of Ford, where you need more product and you can't wait around for the perfect. China's
right.
cattle hints at EV batteries that last 16 years. Now, normally, again, I don't, even less than I talk about future cars that I know about, I don't ever talk about future batteries
Right.
without saying this was in the lab, whatever, whatever. But this company has themselves a little bit of a record.
They
So you
do.
mentioned that they've
Uh,
stated something.
I am with you 100% on the miracle battery du jour. Kacey, haven't you heard? It can go 1,000 miles. It can charge in a minute, and it costs $50 to build. It can do everything except leave the lab.
Right. We
Those
made one.
are though we made one and it cost us $10 trillion. Can we have some funding, please? But when it comes to the big dogs, LG, Panasonic, BYD, these guys don't make announcements uh, based on nothing.
Right.
They wait until they're about commercialized. And pardon me, but 16 years, is that even news? Because they're LFP batteries. I mean, we already have 10-year warranties on some, 12-year warranties on other batteries.
Yeah,
16 seems very believable.
exactly. I mean, look at out of spec Renew just touched on a milk truck from 2010. That is, uh, it had been sitting for over 6 years, and they just charged it and realized they just need to cut out the end cell of the pack, and it will be drivable again.
Wow,
It's
that's
got LFP.
crazy.
Yeah,
Well, and I think it was Kyle who bought a Kia Niro or something,
yeah,
some for like $100,
yeah.
and it had been sitting in the back of the dealer's lot for years and years. And somehow it was an LFP battery that was imported during the time when it was when I thought they weren't supposed to import LFPs. Um, and it had been sitting abandoned for years, and they plugged it in, and the damn thing charged.
Gotta love
Uh,
it.
and it still had like 1 or 2% state of charge on it.
Yeah. Speaking of Kia, so Kia and Hyundai had some very bagged up, not banged up, but bagged up uh, vehicles you recognize, the Ionic 5 and EV6, and they were at the supercharger. One was just wasting a saw, and the other was plugged in to the NAX cable natively.
That that is cool.
Yeah.
Hmm. So you know that Tesla has a new update that addresses phantom drain
Oh, yes, on the app.
on the app.
Yeah.
So I have been parked at the airport for almost 2 weeks now. I parked at 86%, and I turned off Sentry, of course, and cabin overheat, of course. So I
Mhm.
parked at 86%. What am I at today?
86%.
84.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah. So
Very nice.
that's yeah, a percent a week.
So I guess this excludes legacy cars because I opened up my app and the car woke up again.
Well, I assume it opens. Well, I don't know when it wakes up, but I'd assume I just woke it up, and I've checked, and it's probably me draining the battery because I every couple days I check to see what it's at,
Yeah.
and yeah, and it so whatever they changed, it works.
I'm excited to next time I get a new Tesla that's got this tech. Mine is turning 6 this year. So this is exciting for those of us that have Kia and Hyundai products. So
Hmm.
you'll be there soon, and of course your charge port is still on the wrong side of the car. So please choose an M5. Of course. I don't like RJ's reasoning on that. He's like, oh well, soon V4 will be a thing, and what if you're street parking?
So I have an answer for that because,
Yeah,
I'm out there at the same kind of shows you are. And the answer is, great, put it on the other side, but at the other end so that it's
right,
still in the correct corner. Put it
exactly.
at the front street side so
And then you
that,
don't have as far. You're not playing telephone or cable guy, doing this trip every time you park your car to put the cones out
oh,
to
jeez.
the opposite end of the car to plug it in.
Yeah. I went to the Rivian theater. It's
Yeah,
their flagship showroom in Laguna Beach, and it is an old theater that they have painstakingly restored into a magnificent form. And it's just full of cars right now, but they do have, like when they did the big Rivian event recently for the R2 and 3, this location simulcast it, and they had the big screen and all the people there, and then during the moment of the big reveal, the truck snuck in the front door. No one heard them coming because they're
oh, nice.
electric, so that people in attendance could also see the trucks.
Man, I
uh,
love that. That is
yeah, so I got to check out the trucks, the not the new ones, but the updated R1T and S, and see the new light bar and some of the changes, and it was
that
pretty
room,
interesting.
the electromatic
And
window. Yeah.
yeah, well, I didn't notice that part, or I
Oh,
don't remember it. I may have noticed it, but that's not new technology. That's just but it makes the truck more expensive to build and warranty,
it does. It does.
uh but their staff was wonderful, amazing, very very competent people they've got working for them.
That's like when I met Franz and Mr. Blankenship and saw the Model X for the first time. I didn't realize this thing had the window until I was almost in my first one. Even
Oh
though it was,
wow.
I went back and looked at my pictures. It was there. It wasn't taped off like on the. I just
That's
didn't think to look up.
that's hilarious. Some of the things we miss in retrospect are pretty hilarious.
We've got some more comments coming in. Let's see. Blaming MS for the CrowdStrike. Forget the Ford Focus Dually. If they're non-plug-in like the hybrid they are now only on the Sienna, that's a huge opportunity missed. Read. And then Timothy, greetings from Arizona. I imagine that you are doing much more temperature than we are at our 90 degrees.
Yeah, it's
uh,
been it's been in the mid low to mid 90s here, not too unbearable, but I still melt and burn. I put on sunscreen, but through the thin parts, it really doesn't help as much.
understand. I also noticed that for the Apple apps, they may or may not show right away in the list of apps with updates, but will show when going to the app in the App Store. Yeah, I've noticed that on my iPad. I can't reliably get it to update the apps when Tesla does it, but if I go to the app, it says, "Oh, here's an update. Do you want it?" Like, you should have done this last night.
Where were you yesterday?
Yes. So Sawyer's pointing out an article on Forbes that says the same thing that we've been saying for years now. Sales surge shows that the electric car's death may have been greatly exaggerated, and this was disingenuous the minute they started reporting that sales are slowing. People don't want them. It was cyclical, and Q1 everybody's sales are slow.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, there are some numbers that are less encouraging in certain markets in certain times,
Yeah,
and there's this tug of war going on between what we know that the manufacturers can do and what the manufacturers want to do. These
and what
guys
they're
are
willing to do.
really, yeah, oh God, them too. Yeah, they are on the wrong side of this tug of war. And these manufacturers know that they can make electric vehicles. But they know how easy it is for them to make gas cars. They've been doing it for 100 years in many cases.
You don't got to
So
train the salespeople. You don't got to train the customer. You just do what you've always done.
well, you don't have to train the suppliers or or
Right.
the line worker. You don't or the engineers. What they're
Tell
trying
them
to do now is compete in a whole new world where they do not have the advantage, and that's a big ask. And you've got
scary.
so then any opportunity they can get to convince lawmakers, hey, we need more time, just push it out a little bit, and they're trying to do that. But if
Yeah.
you look at BMW's global sales from last quarter, they're at something like 17 or 23% electric already,
Yeah. That's the part
which
that impresses
is
me, though, is this whole emissions, like they act like they're surprised by the emissions. You were at the table 30 years ago when they made the rules. You were consulted.
yeah,
You said,
but I didn't think I'd still work here by now.
that part. I thought I'd have a golden parachute. What the heck?
And the truth is a lot of the people there are not the same people. You're the the classic thing that CEOs have been doing over the last 20 years is set an electrification deadline that will be about 2 years after the average tenure of a CEO. So it's not going to be, and then the new guy comes in and they go, well, that was the old guy's promise. We're going to set a new goal, a realistic one this time of 2 years after the average tenure of a CEO. And
Yeah.
so,
Surprise. Demand is slow while people are paying off Q4 spend credit cards and haven't received a tax return yet. Who would have thought? Exactly, because you notice immediately at Q2 it goes right back up.
that's the holiday hangover is real. Uh, but there are some manufacturers, and I've seen some manufacturers saying, "Yeah, but we're up, 4% year over year." Right? Didn't you have a historically awful year last year? Criticizing,
We're talking.
some of the emerging companies for being down year over year when last year was their biggest year ever. So
Yeah.
Tesla's what 20% off their all-time high production.
Right.
GM is like 50% off their all-time high production.
Yeah. Yeah, but don't you know
And
Tesla says all-time highs every quarter for the last 10 years. It's new record, new record. They're gonna have some
for
soft
year
quarters.
over year, that I mean that is a very valid concern. And I've you know I've had people saying that, well, Tesla doesn't need Giga Texas. They don't, or Giga Mexico. They don't need it. I
Oh,
said,
man.
well, if they intend to make 20 million cars by
Right.
ever, then they need more factories. And
They
I
do.
had Omar from Whole Mars catalog saying, yes, but uh, they're expanding production in Texas and Berlin. So there you go. I'm like,
It's not
okay,
enough,
well, that's not going to get us an extra 18 million units.
right? Didn't Elon say we need 2 gigafactories per continent?
Sounds like the right number to me. That
And that
sounds
might
like the
that
right
might even
number to
include
me.
Antarctica, but obviously put those 2 on another productive continent.
Um, no, I don't know if you know, but there are no labor laws surrounding penguins. So
True. But the shipping is a bear.
yeah, it's seasonal. Yeah, deliveries are down because the ships don't ship for another 6 months.
There's
So
no passage till summertime, southern summertime.
hmm
You just
hmm
stockpile them out in the snow. Somebody's job is to go chisel them out. Mercedes
oh
brings
my
EV
gosh.
fast charging to Starbucks. They're going to put over 100 Starbucks with their charge point, beautiful chargers and the awnings and everything. More charging.
Cool.
But
Do we know what speed these chargers are?
I think they were at least 150.
Okay. Good, good, good. Because I don't want destination chargers at a place that's supposed to have, 20 to 30-minute turnover.
Right.
I want it's got to be so, and I don't want level 4 chargers at a movie theater.
Right. Yeah, I need to leave. We actually have an intermission in the movie for everybody to go swap their cars around, please.
Oh my gosh.
Any place that has the seats made intentionally uncomfortable, like Starbucks and McDonald's, then you want to make sure that at that point you have the fast chargers. If it's nice luxury
Right.
like a theater, you want the slow chargers. So
Right.
this is really cool. We touched on another Chinese version of this. I guess this is Chinese too, but we touched on another version of this that went from CHAdeMO to CCS2, and I said that there were ways to get it to turn to CCS1. and that there was another company working on it. Well, now we have a Chatamo to CCS1 native. I think this is by the A to Z company. What's their name? Da, 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 da.
Because that's something that, like you said, has been asked for a long time.
Yeah, A to Z. Yep. Nissan should have done this years ago,
Mhm.
and they didn't. But now here it is. So you've got
Yeah.
the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV, the either you're going to call it the iMeave or the Mitsubishi I. You've got all the Leafs. There's still a demand for this thing, and I, if it weren't so expensive, I would just out of pure giggles, I was on my Tesla Chatamo adapter, even though I've got the CCS1 adapter as is. But it also the rate exceeds the charge capabilities of the Nissan Leaf, so you'll be charging at your car's full speed if you have a brand new Nissan Leaf.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. And yeah, does it say the price on it? I imagine it's probably only a couple hundred.
I thought it was like $600. Let's see,
Mm.
$999, $1,000.
Ooh,
Still
yeah,
cheaper than a new car, but woof,
marginally, marginally.
right,
999. That's what I paid for my 2016 Leaf.
right,
Uh, but the reality is there's not a lot of models worldwide that are going to be able to take advantage of this.
yeah,
And a lot of the people who have those older cars don't go far from home.
right. Hopefully, now that they've got this, they can just do the same A to Z um, CCS1 to Nax, and now you can charge your Nissan Leaf at the supercharger whenever they open it to everyone, and you can just charge my non-Tesla Tesla app.
I don't know if they'll add the communication protocol to support that.
I don't think they will. That's why I'm hoping that once Tesla's got all of the people who actually signed up with them, has
Mhm.
got them done, they'll just say, hey, you've got a local delivery truck, you've got an older one, and you've got the plug. Use the Tesla app, and we'll let you go because now everybody else who's been waiting has been serviced. I'm hoping they do that.
So we've got to address this big rumor in the chat. Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy wants to know
Yeah.
Giga Shackleton.
Shackleton.
I saw that earlier and was giggling, and I just thought, yeah, we have to address the rumor. No one has denied it.
Nobody has done that
So,
yet.
that's
The
pretty
DC fast charge
suspicious.
for Leaf is like 62. They actually listed here in the article. The old ones were 50, and that's why everybody else was 50. 62.5 kilowatt maximum for the Nissan Leaf. But this adapter can do 1,000 volts and 250 amps. So this thing can supercharge if you can find an inlet that will do it.
Now, does the new Leaf the new Leaf isn't still on Chatamo, is it?
Oh, yes.
Oh my.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't
Oh,
include the
boy.
article, but the Leaf has also been discontinued in Europe, but it
Okay.
gets one more year here in North America.
And at the rate Kyle is moving them,
Right.
maybe another 3 weeks.
Maybe because they were supposed to get they were supposed to have already been done this year, and they got a reprieve in the States and Canada.
Very weird.
So this is one of these
Kia's
things. Go ahead.
Kia's EV factory, which is also in your part of the country, has been accelerated and is expected to be done like a year early.
They need that because otherwise they can't take advantage of the incentives. Although the incentives need to stay
Mhm.
around for that to matter. But at least they can
Yeah.
say, our USA content has gone up, and that will be important if there is a tide change because you can say, hey, look, we're built right here, even though we've got the South Korean name on us. So this one
Yeah.
you tell us more about. There's been all sorts of rumors going around about Elon saying that perhaps we'll give up on the 4680s if they're not done this year, and at the same time, competing rumors saying that they're ready to go ramp it up by the end of the year. I guess they are the same coin there. What is your
Sure. When I first saw the headline, I so all of the articles you're seeing point back to the same single source. This
okay?
is a single source rumor, as far as I can tell. I can't find second sources that don't point to the first one. Who is it? The Guardian or the Statesman or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, this let's take it as at face value. Let's pretend it's definitely true. That sounds like the sort of thing Elon says to teams all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
It's kind
and
of like a
even
keep them running.
Keep them running. Create a sense of urgency. Even if he did say that, that doesn't make it true. He's been known to. He's prone to hyperbole.
Oh, yes, he is.
So
But
is
he
a
also, with the supercharger tantrum, that also then also now gives it more weight to anyone who's hearing these threats.
yes, yes, it does. But that was more of an emotional decision where this is couched as a financial or management decision. I
Yeah.
don't think he's mad at the supercharger team or the 4680
Oh
team,
no, no, not
but
at all.
he was definitely mad at the head of supercharging. So I think that even if that's something that was genuinely said, that he genuinely told them, I don't think that necessarily means it's true. So yeah, he
Or at least not on
can.
this timeline.
Yes, and especially with 5 months to cool off. You asked us to do something new and impossible, and we've never made batteries before. I
Yeah.
think we're doing pretty good. I
Yeah.
have had people push back and say, well, Cybertruck can't ramp because these are ramping too slowly. And I would point out that isn't it LG that's got their 4680 factory ready to begin output next month?
That's right.
Yeah, I think it's
And
LG.
they know how to make batteries, and they weren't concerned by cells. They're only
Right,
saying you need 10,000 cells. Here's 15,000 cells. We want the
right.
bonus.
Right, right. So I don't believe Cybertruck's ramp will be impacted by it. I think the reason Tesla so desperately needs to increase 4680 output isn't just to keep up with Cybertruck, it's so they can resume production of Model Ys with 4680s
Yeah.
so that those cells that are currently coming from Texas can stay in Texas and go into the semis.
Yeah. Do you think that if this becomes the case, would they pull another Panasonic and just pull LG in house if they decide they're not going to do it themselves? They've already got the equipment in house. There's no point in ripping all that out.
Unless the equipment's different. I don't know.
Oh,
It
that's
could
true.
be that LG would come in and look at it. Halfway through, I want you to take over painting this mural, and also here's all my stuff, all
Yeah.
my supplies. You'd say, I'm going to use my own supplies,
Yeah.
and it could, I mean, your palette's nice and all, but you got Cheeto finger dust all over it, and I'm not amused. But uh, I don't I don't I don't know when it comes to batteries of this level of sophistication, they're very precise. And I would imagine they would rather they might want to loot some equipment out, but I can't imagine them going in and just taking over the machines.
Yeah, because if they couldn't get it, if Tesla couldn't get it to work, why are we going to use everything? We want these three parts and then get rid of the rest of that garbage.
Yeah.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
And then you go to Pawn Stars and he's like, well, I don't know about 4680s, but I know a guy who can tell me what these are worth.
Right.
The best I can give you is $50 of store credit.
Store credit. Speaking of Cybertruck, here's a comparison of the old Cybertruck aero wheel cover and the new one that's now being installed on customer trucks, which they are making you come in for some reason,
Mhm.
rather than just mailing them to you.
I think they are fine. I think they look
They claim
about as cool. I think the old wagon wheels looked a little cooler, but it's fine.
Yeah, it keeps the spirit up and it gets rid of the damage. The one thing that has been brought up, people said, well, maybe because you're not going to install it directly. Again, there's a one pager in the manual on how to take off and put on the covers. So I don't think it's that. I think that this other rumor is more likely that when they go to put on your covers, they're going to note if you have any damage from the old one and replace your
Oh.
tires if you are unsafe.
That is so plausible that that is what I'm going to start saying from now on because that would make perfect sense. So, as I understand it, that damage doesn't occur when you or I drive because unless we're airing down the tires or driving any kind of distance in
Anyway,
extract mode, the sidewall friction would never apply for us. But if you're someone who airs down tires or drives in extract, then you could you could have sidewall wear and tear, which is of course not good.
yeah.
Um, but
Well, there were people who had it just off of just put a couple thousand miles on it, completely stock. Actually, made sure the pressures were right, and then they still had uh,
oh, did they?
visible damage. Yeah. So
Well, that's very terrible planning.
Yeah, and that was after. This is actually the third revision because remember the first version we had was hard plastic, and then right before they shipped, they changed them to rubber tips, and then it was still doing it. So now I would say that they just made them shorter, so they still look good and they match with the wheels. By good, I mean they match the design that they promised. I don't like these.
Again, so if you Google wagon wheel dinner plate green or 1970s, you'll find a dinner plate that looks just like these. That is also, boy, we had them when I was a kid and we hated them. And I looked them up recently to show my kids that it's what it
My
looks like.
goodness.
And there they are. They're on eBay and they're expensive.
Whoa.
That's a Cybertruck hubcap, my friend.
I would go
But
with
it
a third party on that one.
but it just tells you that that Franz is the same age as me, I guess.
I guess it does, yeah. With 6 times the propellant, 4 times the power of today's Dragon spacecraft, the SpaceX was selected to design and develop the U.S. deorbit vehicle for precise, controlled deorbit of the space station. So you see there, it looks like a cargo dragon in the front. Looks like it got extended trunk. Still got the solar panels on top, but it's got the wings of the old cargo dragon. And so NASA has contracted to purchase this vehicle and operate it themselves from SpaceX. They need to procure a
Oh,
launch vehicle. I don't know why they won't use Falcon 9. They probably will end up doing that. And they'll probably contract the actual operation back out to SpaceX, but government contracting, it has to be done a certain way.
that's so weird. Because I would think that, yeah, they would just say the contract is launch, dock, and deorbit. But no, the contract is 6 contracts,
Yeah.
all of which come back to, okay. Uh, my friend asked me, why don't they just let the orbit decay? Won't it decay on its own? And I said,
It will.
yeah, we just don't know where
That part.
it's that part. And he goes,
Have a
well, wouldn't it
football
burn
field
up
just
on,
land up in the middle of London or New York.
well, wouldn't it just burn up on reentry? I said, yes, some of it.
Most of it.
I mean, maybe even most,
Yeah.
but not all, nowhere close to all. So let's give us a
Things a
nice big
football
target.
field size.
Like the
Choose your
Pacific
definition of
Ocean
football.
is the Pacific Ocean is fairly large.
It is.
And based on the orbital inclination, you've got a like half you it is like 50% of the target window to get it down during that entire half of an orbit when there's really nothing. And it's really even more than that because if it hit the poles, it wouldn't be catastrophic
That's
either.
true.
So
Yeah.
you've got it's a good place to dump stuff.
How do they keep
But of
boats out of that
course,
area? Is there like just like the keep out for the launch?
it would probably be more like uh, just a seafaring advisory.
If you were in there, that's your own problem. You should have read the notes.
Well, yes, read the notes, but even if you're in there, the odds of it hitting you remain approximately zero.
Right. You might be sitting there and then something goes whizzing by. What was that? And it was nowhere close.
Yeah. Yes.
Nice.
And I imagine in the hours leading up to it, they would dial it in a bit. So if you want to head a little bit east or west, you could to get a little more a little more assurance.
Right.
But
It'd be
again,
fun to
it's
watch, but the risk is so high.
well, I hope that some chase planes are able to
Oh,
capture part of it.
yeah, that'd be fun.
When they deorbited the Mir, there was a commercial flight that brought rich tourists up to watch it re-enter. They didn't
Imagine if
catch
internet
it.
was big back then. We would all have been able
Yeah,
to enjoy it.
but they didn't catch it because the
It was so
target
far.
window was so large, and even at hundreds of miles an hour, you're not going to close the gap if you're in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Uh,
I remember
so
we watched Crew Dragon, Crew Demo 1 go up, the one with the mannequin. And then when we came back here, it was just too cloudy to see it go by. But I did hear the sonic boom. But like right
oh,
after I heard the sonic boom from it going overhead over the clouds, I was then watching online on the same, so I knew where to go look. Uh, right after I heard the sonic boom, it was splashing down in Florida, like South Carolina to Florida in like 2-3 seconds. It was incredible.
well, you got to figure there is probably yeah.
Well, plus the sonic boom was slower than the craft, so probably actually
Right.
close to 10 seconds.
So, but still, it's when you're at those. Well, you look at a Falcon 9 launch, and then you see where people are gathering footage from, and they're gathering footage from the entire East Coast.
Yeah.
Because once you get a little bit of altitude, yeah. And I would point out that that this is going to be framed as Tesla's Elon Musk SpaceX to destroy satellite, space
Icon. Yeah.
station. Come on, man.
They
Haven't
probably
we
will
had
too.
enough of this?
Oh man. So Honda believes they're going to outpace U.S. rivals as its first electric SUV is available in markets, despite the fact that GM is building them for them. So somehow they're going to outpace GM, who could probably find
It's
a way to count these sales.
it's great that they've still got a sense of humor.
Right. Also, I don't know if I've got the article now, but Honda is bringing back their hydrogen car after being gone. It was Toyota and Hyundai for the longest time, and now Honda thinks that they can come back in hydrogen and win.
Yeah. Well, hydrogen's the most abundant element in the universe, Casey.
But
Just
it
like
binds to everything.
water, just like the ocean is full of water. So let's go take a drink.
Oh man. So
Uh,
we touched on the Fisker Ocean sale situation. There's just an article proving that. We don't need to really talk about it too much. It was a good deal for them, and it's been approved. Uh, Tesla claims that they have 95% automated production at Giga Shanghai. Can you tell us about that, Brian?
so the human labor has already been the smallest ingredient in the cost of a finished vehicle for a long time. And we've seen what the robot situation looks like inside of a Tesla factory. It's incredibly automated. But if we go further up the supply chain, I had a chance to talk with a gentleman last year in England who is like uh, the US analyst for all of the Chinese companies in the way that you and I follow Tesla. And he was saying that even 10 years ago, you'd go into a parts factory where they make headlights or windshield wiper blades, and it would look like a sweatshop. And
Wow.
now when you go in, it looks like a robot factory. There are very few people. It is very clean. It is very orderly. It is very organized. The tolerances on all the equipment is very tight because it's not human run, but machine run. And this is a logical progression. Even at the big three in Detroit, you've seen the amount of human labor dropping decade after decade.
Yeah.
And there was a time when the unions opposed that. Why are robots getting to do all the work until they realized it's all the work we really don't want to do?
Right.
So,
The poo jobs.
yeah. And so, what you're looking at is if you look at some of the longer videos that have come out of tours of Giga Shanghai, there was one by uh, a a gal from I want to say Korea who got to go over and see it and make a no holds barred video, walk around, shoot whatever you like. She got to see all the different workstations where all you have to do is bring the parts up to the cage, to the station, and
Yeah.
robots grab the parts and do the parts. And
Wow.
so then you back up one more step and say, wait, why is a human pushing the cart? Shouldn't this be like either a rolling line or something automated that brings the part? Why is a human bringing the parts to the station?
Right.
So
Like
once you
Amazon
get
got
to
their
that,
Eat robot bringing you the whole shelf.
yeah, right, right. Instead of moving the person to the shelf, it makes so much more sense. So what are you going to so what more pieces are left to automate? Uh, you've seen the giga castings. There's not many people on that. You've seen the stamping machines. There's really a person who just kind of eyeballs it to make sure it's without imperfection. And yeah, so it doesn't surprise me a bit. And what it tells you is that the labor is not the cost savings. The cost savings comes from the process. And that's why BYD, while making a car that's almost as good as Tesla, about the same price as Tesla, isn't making as much money as Tesla, even though they control their own battery supply. So yeah, it's not surprising news, but it should be a wake up call for a lot of the other manufacturers.
Yeah. And then you add however much of unbox they actually put into to play to that, it becomes even easier for automation. Uh, Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy says, I can't wait to pay 200 per fill up in my Honda HV that's banned from parking garages in friends' neighborhoods.
Yeah. Well, good news, because you'll only have to do that for about 8, 9 years, and then the tank expires, and you have to
Right.
throw the car in the trash,
Because the
which is
labor to
fair.
replace that is just ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's good because the trash is where that car should have been in the first place.
Right.
It's its home.
Oh no. Samsung launches energy management service for Tesla vehicles. There wasn't really much meat on the bone of this one, but cool. Anything for fleets? But not just fleets though. This is also like if you happen to have a situation similar to the Powerwall, where you can do the charge on solar and other
Hmm.
stuff like that. But you've already got batteries on your house. You bought the Tesla. I'm not going to change all my batteries and solar out just because I bought this car.
Hmm. Yeah,
They have
I haven't seen that one, but
okay. It reminds me of the fleet management that the Turo folks and the rental folks use, like Hertz and the large corporate fleets use to just kind of just keep an eye on all the Teslas.
so I was at CES this year, the Consumer Electronics Show, and who had a booth but Goodyear? And so you know what year this is? It's 2024. What is
Right.
the buzzword for CES this year? What is everyone chasing?
AI,
So what is Goodyear there chasing?
intelligent tires.
Yes, sir.
What
Yes,
they do?
sir. So they embedded chips in the tires,
Oh yeah,
which
they
can
put chips in the Cybertruck tires, right?
I assume it's the same thing because those are Goodyears. And what it's designed for is fleet management because
Oh,
you can tell if one driver has a tendency to turn too aggressively because of sidewall flex. And you
okay.
can not just manage the wear of the tires, the pressure of the tires, those are pretty obvious, but
Yeah.
also the driving style of the drivers to
Without
know
having to
who
upgrade your
you
car, you just change the tires.
without just change the tires. So it's
I like it.
AI chip embedded tires.
See, I
So
like it when it's something
that's
practical like that, rather than just fancy floofy words. Like
we
that's
yeah.
useful.
When you can find an applicant, and I said, well, what does it cost for this
We don't talk about
service?
it.
Well, we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it because we can't talk about it because we need to know if you've got 5 in your fleet. Because if you do, we probably don't want to talk to you.
Yeah,
But if you've got 5,000 versus 50,000, the price is different. I'm like,
the price will
great.
be different,
Can
and you might be able to
can
make it.
I
Yeah.
can I at least get a range?
No,
No, no.
we have to pay that salesman something
Yeah,
because he needs to extract the maximum price from you, and we are not going to
yeah.
give the same deal to the next company.
I appreciate your comedic timing, Casey. I think there's a reason we get along well.
Yeah. Barzan says hi, and Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy says, "What are they going to do with all these batteries in landfills, today, though?" I really wish people understood that these batteries, completely dead, are still worth like $2,000. Who throws $2,000 in the
Yeah,
trash?
yeah. And there are places I've read about. I haven't looked into it thoroughly where I swear they are doing landfill mining because things that people used to throw away are now worth enough to go back and get. And technology's gotten cheap enough that you can just mine quickly and aggressively and get it all done. Um, when you put it in that landfill, it doesn't disappear.
Right.
It's going to be there forever. So you can always go back and get it.
You just got to sift through all the other stuff that's on top of it. Ugh. Tesla confirmed completion
No,
of.
because it'd be robots doing it.
Oh, that's true. Robots will do it. Yeah. Confirms the completion of Shanghai Megafactory by 2025. So I was wondering why it was taking them so long to get more megafactories online, but I guess that was like the cell supply was probably part of it too. Why have a factory if you can't fill it? And now they,
Yes. So
yeah,
part of it was people said, yeah, but we've got a surplus of batteries. Right. But we didn't know we were going to have a surplus of batteries. We
right,
thought we were going to still have a shortage and we planned accordingly.
yeah,
I thought this would be, I had expected this to be done at the end of Q4, but instead it's going to be done in Q1. And apparently that was their timeline all along.
wow.
Uh, yeah, why aren't we getting more of these? We've discovered what a cash printing machine they are. So hopefully, um,
But even
these are
better than
very
that,
easy to build. These are
yeah,
easier to build than car factories. You can see the assembly is all right angles and stuff.
yeah.
So,
And
um,
people fit
but
inside
yeah,
all the
I
things. Yeah.
I agree. They should have at least one of these on every continent.
Yeah.
except Antarctica.
Yeah.
They know what they did.
They know what they did. But you see, with this one, I think it's really cool because it's not just batteries. Theirs is an integrated, it's an all-in-one battery. You drop the thing in, plug it in, good to go. All the competition, you need multiple boxes for this. You need an inverter, you need a power conditioner, you need this, that, this. And then on top
Hmm.
of all of that, you've got the software layer. The auto bidder
Auto bidder.
is making so much money off of these things for the
Auto
customer.
bidder, yeah. Auto bidder is the key. When you look at a knockoff of something, a good example I like to give is passenger jets. China makes a commuter jet uh, rival. They make things that look just like a little Airbus or a little Boeing. The kind that's 4 seats across and 5 seats across. But people still prefer to buy non-Chinese brands because even though it looks just like an Airbus, it flies just like an Airbus. It does not get the same fuel efficiency as an Airbus. How many flights does it take at 5-10% worse fuel economy to make a jet that was free not even worth it?
When you burn
Because
50,000 gallons per trip, it adds up quick.
yeah, it adds up real fast. So they still prefer to get jets from Europe or the US because the efficiency is the key. So imagine
Yep,
if I'm
yep.
giving you a choice between a $2 million mega pack and a $1 million BYD. Um,
All in with all the conditioners and stuff.
all let's just say it's all in and the BYD is half the price.
Okay.
On that Tesla machine, you're going to make your money back in 6 to 12 months.
Right.
With the BYD machine,
Who
it's not
knows?
as efficient.
Yeah, because
It's
even if you
who
have
knows?
the same
It's
compute, you still have to now pay a programmer to make your version of AutoBidder and hope
oh,
that it's debugged correctly.
hmm. uh, I didn't realize. I assumed BYD would have their own software, just that it doesn't rise to the level of AutoBidder.
Oh,
But if
okay.
I can save you, if I can save you, it comes down to what it's worth over the life of the project, and
Right.
it looks like Teslas are the winner.
Right. And then Tesla also just lowered their price a little bit now that they have.
Last I saw, it was 1.4 million each.
Yeah, but they
What
were up in the twos, like
they
two and
were
a half.
2.2. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. So that's an added uh, value because now it doesn't cost as much to
Yeah,
obtain.
yeah.
Yeah. So let's look at this one. This one is a speed test by the head of. I don't think it's the head of Starlink. He's the head of something at Starlink. Um, it'll say in his bio. VP of Starlink Engineering at SpaceX. Speed test from Starlink's new mobile community gateway capability. No land in sight. 8 gigabits
I
down and
yeah,
2.7 gigabits up. Not bad.
which is fantastic and magical. Do you remember what the price for the gateway is?
Wasn't it 100,000 a month or 10,000 a
I
month?
think it was. It was something truly eye-watering.
You have to need this.
Um, you have to need it. But if you have an oil platform in, a remote place, is it cost prohibitive? I
No.
don't know.
In fact, you
Maybe
can
not.
probably justify it if you have enough people on that platform. You can either give it to them for free as a perk, or you could charge them for it, and then you can use it for like real time data for all your stuff. So you can make sure that you're not wearing out these $1 million drill bits any faster than they need to, and then you can have the new one on the helicopter or ship or whatever you need just in time. So data
Yeah.
is valuable.
And I imagine Starshield will have a version of this too for all the military bases.
Probably where it came from.
It probably is where it came from.
Yeah, get the government to pay for it, and then you just bring it commercial.
Yeah.
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 So this one is from Gavin Shootridge, and he says, what does he say? It's spinning. It's finally time to put fuel cells into the well-we-tried bin next to gas turbine-powered cars. Those were cool, though, gas turbine-powered cars. The 60-year experiment is finally over, and batteries have won. It's just a shame it took us so long to figure it out. Toyota Mirai drivers are filing suit over hydrogen cars' usability. Owners in California allege that they were deceived regarding how easy it would be to top up the fuel cell EV. That last part is important. It is an EV, it just doesn't have a Well, it does have a battery. It doesn't have a big enough battery that you can't supplement it. A new class action suit launched by Toyota Mirai owners complains of scant hydrogen refueling facilities, and the fuel cell vehicle owners and lessees argue that the automaker falsely advertised how easy it would be to live with the cars. Just like we saw last week, the young man who, for some reason, didn't get his $15,000 in fuel and was paying out of pocket. It was $100. Well, it was 90, what was 97, and he got 177 miles of range. Like I said at the time, I would have taken that car back or obtained legal representation if I didn't get my fuel card for
Yeah.
$15,000. I'm sure a lawyer would take that on. And not just him, we found some other people who weren't expecting the price to double on hydrogen, and so their $15,000 ran out halfway through the lease. Now they're on the hook for these $200 fill-ups.
Yeah. And the problem is if the fossil fuel industry wanted to push hydrogen as a stopgap measure between gasoline and full electrification, they needed to start doing it a whole lot sooner and put a whole lot more money behind it. Because what
Yes.
they did was kind of waited until it was pretty abundantly clear that EVs were already the winner. And then they kind of half-heartedly jumped in with just a handful of stations and a handful of locations that weren't well designed, weren't well built, didn't operate as flawlessly as you might hope. And of course, immediately turned around and said, boy, even though we're using fossil fuels to make this hydrogen, we should double the price
Oh, yes. And then don't
to
forget all
punish
the
the 8 people using it.
right, and don't forget all the stations on the East Coast shut down. 3 or 4 stations on the West Coast exploded, and then, and then Shell left the business. They said, "Yeah, you're getting this from fossil fuels, and we make fossil fuels. We can't even afford to keep this farce up."
Yeah, hydrogen is straight fire.
Yeah, literally invisible fire at that, which is even scarier.
Yeah. Oh, the humanity.
Oh, Hindenburg jokes.
Goes
Uh,
over like a lead balloon.
yes, yes, indeed.
Too soon?
No, not too soon.
No.
Tesla sues Chinese auto parts company over dangerous NACS adapter. What is this, you
Good.
think? Um, it's really a case of false advertising. So they J3400, or I call it JNAX because that's a less stupid name. Because
Oh, yeah.
they get to keep their J and they get to keep their 4 digits, JNAX. I want it to be a thing. Stop trying to make fetch a thing, Casey. Uh, So let's see, who is this one? This is Jayco EV, and they have a case of false advertising because the adapter lacks adequate protection against heat, dust, and water, which could lead to catastrophic injuries or damage to Tesla supercharger infrastructure. Specifically, the Jayco EV charging adapter packaging and fold-out pamphlet falsely advertised that the Jayco charging adapter have a thermal protection in the form of temporary kill switch, which when the adapter reaches 90°C stops charging, and IP54 protection level to protect against dirt, dust, oil, and water. And these specifications are false, is what Tesla is suing them to say.
I think it's important for Tesla to protect their supercharger network. I think if you and I started making a dangerous adapter that worked with Electrify America, I think we would be unsurprised to find Electrify America suing us to stop putting their network in danger.
Yeah. And I like the way that Tesla and the other networks have approached this. They say they're not allowed, and then they just don't do anything with it until they find something that's actually dangerous. So if something happens, and you try to say, "Oh, this thing destroyed my warranty," then they say, "Oh well," or not my battery, and they say, "Well, that wasn't a warranted adapter, so too bad, so sad." Now, if it destroys the supercharger, they will come sue you for that. But if it's generally compliant, they just leave you alone and just say, "Hey, at your own risk."
Yep.
But this one was not that. This one was alleged dangerous and false advertising. So I think that is a safe and fair way to handle it.
Yeah.
Then we've got Tesla police vehicle management gets simpler with standard fleet plus standard fleet plus upfit collaboration. So this is from Unplugged Performance, and so you get fleet management and a vehicle that's ready to roll. And as I pointed out, the last time we saw one of these police upfits was that not up dot fit, but just like the generic upfit, like somebody else made a police car. out of a Model Y. The price was much higher than Unplugged, and the timeline was longer, and it just looked jank. So I'm glad that Upfit is is doing this.
So I got to see this one, well, one of the Unplugged Performance ones last year at the X Takeover. I got to interview them about it. I got to look at all the neat little features and find out what they were doing that would be different from a traditional police upfitting. And it was pretty interesting to see some of the integration that they were able to do and which parts they decided to keep entirely separate. So, for example, all the actual police equipment doesn't touch the onboard software. It remains separate, which is, I think, a good thing for security and, and definitely a good thing for keeping the car running properly.
Right.
But these just make so much sense. How many times have you seen at an event or some public place the police car cruiser placed, visibly and idling all
The lights just go like,
day?
okay. Yeah.
Just insane, just so wasteful.
Or in the smaller town, you see the two cruisers pulled up to each other, window to window, windows down, and they stay there for hours.
I was driving past a lake with my wife and kids 10 years ago, 20 years, 15 years ago. And I go, did you see that? And she goes, see what? I said, you didn't see that police car? She goes, no, I didn't. I said, he looked at me funny. You know what? I'm going to go have words with him. She's like, what? And I turned the car around. She's like, what are you doing?
You lost your
And
mind.
what? Think it through. So we
Yeah.
turn around, pull up, and it's a mannequin in the car that I
Oh,
had
okay.
seen and she had not. And I was like, you really thought I was going to go have words with an officer for looking at me funny? Wow. That's relevant. By the way, if you're sharing another story, I'm still here. I'm just shutting off the video for a second to grab a glass of water. So keep
Yeah.
talking.
Okay. So I've pulled up next. Let's see what I pull up next. This one is from Sawyer Merritt, and he says, "News: Tesla has announced that to enable additional Model 3 performance and Model X all-wheel drive vehicles to qualify for the federal credit, they are offering complimentary paint options for Model 3 performance and seating layouts for Model X all-wheel drive if you add FSD to your order." And this is important because for the longest time, Tesla was doing this thing where, like, hey, these cars qualify. Any color you want as long as it's black with the interior you don't want, which I thought was just like, man, you can't do something about this price. Just wiggle it a little bit, and like, because a lot of Tesla owners like the white interior, and maybe you don't want the free color for the exterior because now your driveway is going to look like a rental lot. So since FSD doesn't impact your qualification for the tax credit, they are allowing you to, if you get that, they will allow, they'll write off the price of the upgrade of the color.
Discount.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
exactly.
write that off.
Yeah.
And this is an easy demand lever. The other colors don't actually cost them anything.
Not any more than any color. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is, I posted on X today saying, boy, it looks like they're pulling all the demand levers at once because you've got
Yeah.
your 1.99 financing, your FSD transfer, your
Right.
free color.
Does
What
FSC
more do you
get
want?
the FSC transfer? Do you still get the free color?
I believe. Oh, that's a good point because it's with FSD purchase. So I'm not sure if just transferring would also give you your color choice. I bet not, huh?
Yeah, I'd be fair with that though. I'd rather get my
Yeah.
transfer than pay 12 grand for it. I get a wrap. Get a wrap for less.
Isn't it 8 now? Didn't they drop it to 8?
Whatever it costs this week.
Yeah.
I've given
Yeah,
up.
which is frustrating for the people who put in their early Cybertruck orders to lock it in at 8
Yes.
and still don't have it.
And yeah, it might be out next time they update FSD. We'll see.
See.
So that's cool if you're in the market. And like we keep saying, if you see something you want, the package you want, the options you want, price you want, don't worry about what's going to happen next week. It might be down, it might be up. Don't worry about next week.
Right.
Get it now because they
I've
might
had
take something you like.
I've had people ask me, is now the best time to get it? And I said, well, do you need a car? Because if you don't, then now is a pretty bad time.
Right. Exactly.
There was that article recently about that uh, TikTok executive who's very sad because she bought a Tesla Model 3 with all the goodies when she got divorced 2 years ago and is now upside down in the car. And I'm like, first of all, you make 400 grand and you didn't pay cash?
Right.
Weird, super weird. Second of all, yeah, you bought at the historically worst time. Any car you bought 2 years ago, you are underwater. And yeah, the MSRP may look high, but you're comparing that against other cars MSRPs, not their actual cost of acquisition, which is of course much higher during that period of insanity, which should have driven all used car dealers out of business. But how can you drive us out of business when we're making so much money?
Right. Oh, those are the good times to be selling cars, I guess.
I
So
guess.
Tesla Giga Shanghai is back to full operating capacity. Report from Teslarati. We've got this one from Tesla North. What did they say? Close that old window. And they say, you can tell I found it on my phone because it just is a URL.
So what I'm seeing is there is still a backlog in many Southeast Asian markets where
Mhm.
people are waiting 2-3 months to get a car.
Yeah.
But it could also be that they're going to go full steam ahead and stockpile Model Ys until the changeover
Yes. Yeah.
to the Y Fresh.
Yeah.
Um, and it could be that they're doing that. And I've seen people say, well, who the heck would buy the old Model Y when the new Model Y still exists? Or you know what I mean? The old one when the new one is already out. Why would they do that? Eh, Well, and there will be a price difference. And what they would likely do is start with one model, just like they did with the Model 3,
Yeah.
so that people who want that one model don't have a choice.
Right.
Easy.
Want it? There it is. Or you could get this one and get this, and this, and be happy.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, and right on the tails of them giving us that discount with FSD, they raised the price of the Model S and X by $2,000.
And what do you make of that?
Like I keep saying, if they have what you want now, get it now because something will change for the better or for the worse.
But why did it go up?
Why'd it go up? Yeah, that's a good question. What?
I think it's because the people who are buying it are the only people left who don't want a Cybertruck.
Ah,
Um, I just, I want the performance of a Plaid, but I don't want a Model 3 Ludicrous. I
right,
want the size, but I need the sixth or seventh seat.
right,
I think that there is no price at which a Cybertruck buyer is going back to an S or X today.
right,
So cutting the price doesn't make sense. And that extra 2,000 is not going to stop people who don't want a Cybertruck.
right. Because if you feel that the 3 is too small for you, either because of your proportions or you just drive executive cars, you're not going to drive a Model 3. So why not raise the price of the S? It's still cheaper than the Lucid. Who's their competition? And the
Well,
Model
there
3s.
are,
Hmm?
yeah. I mean, you could look at the Taycan, there's the Audi, there's BMWs in that class,
Yeah,
but all of those are going to be much more expensive. Generally, for the only benefit you're going to get is going to be maybe a little more cushy interior, I suppose.
right. And slightly faster charging if you can find a charger.
If
Yeah, yeah.
how often is that relevant?
It's not enough
Right.
to pay more for it.
And is it faster if you can't find a station that's online?
That part. Or if you find a station that's not that speed for whatever reason. And then the Model X, like Brian was saying, the if you need the 7 seats and you or 6 seats even, and you need an adult sized person to fit in them, that's not like
Yes.
so vertically not as vertically gifted. Uh, the Model X is what you need because it's just got a
Yeah.
bigger seat, and then the middle
The
is
third Yeah, the third row of the Model X is a lot more comfortable than the third row of an R1S.
yeah, and especially the Model Y.
Well, yes. For fun, when I was in Michigan, I got to show Dr. Know It All and Lars from Best in Tesla. They had
Yeah,
never seen the third row Model Y. So I said, "Oh, my
it's
friends,
in
you are
person.
getting in. Climb
Oh no!
into it." So
Ouch!
I put the second row all the way forward. I
Okay.
jammed them in the back with the hatch open. And then I'm like,
Oh,
okay, I'm closing it. They're like, please don't. I'm like, no, it's too late. I already pressed the button. And it was tight. It was not a seat for grown men.
right.
But it was, on the plus side, it was hilarious. So
Makes up for it. I
makes
will
up for
say
it in my book.
on the when you close the hatch on the Model X on somebody, they get that same reaction, but then their head just kind of fits neatly in the space between the headliner and the glass because the headliner moves away in the right area, which is nice.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you wanted that and you waited, now you get to pay $2,000 extra dollars. So
Yeah. Hmm.
sorry, but you can also now get any color you want and still get the tax credit if you get FSD
Hmm.
for at least $8,000. Giga Berlin has planted 1 million trees in 2024. We keep telling you guys about how the climate terrorists and climate activists alike are complaining about the trees and the water and all this and that at Berlin. And Tesla is just continuing to meet their promises. These trees, these 1 million trees, mean that they uh, cut, what, 250,000 trees based on their promises. And those trees, like I keep calling it the cardboard forest, these trees were designed as a tree plantation to make, and they were really crappy trees. They weren't even for paper, just for cardboard. And
Hmm.
the complaints again about the water is that they are using the sewer too much. And by sewer, I mean using the toilet and from the kitchens. Because everything else from the
Right.
factory is gray water, goes into watering the grass after they recycle it enough times.
Right. And it's ridiculous. If there was a great video I saw recently um, about bringing life back to those old lousy monoculture forests, and this foundation would buy up land like the land that was just cleared, and what they would do is go through and just knock a bunch of the trees down and leave them fallen, because that would then create the habitats that would bring the animals back to it. And he said he was standing in a monoculture forest, and he said, now listen to the sound of the wildlife. You hear it, right? Well, that's because we added it in post. Here's what it sounds like before we added it. And it's dead. It's a ghost
Oh,
town.
wow.
So it is, all it is doing is sequestering a very small amount of carbon. It is not, there's not enough light to get to the forest floor to actually allow for biodiversity. So what they're in favor of is protesting. That's all they're in
Yeah.
favor of.
Like last week, we showed the two guys who put the orange paint on a Cybertruck, which is more
Yeah.
paint that Tesla put on the Cybertruck when they shipped it.
Yeah. Yeah. You think we don't have a squeegee? Come
Right.
on.
Enjoy jail, suckers.
So dumb. Pointless.
Yes.
Um, I will need to get going.
Okay.
If you're continuing, I will drop out and wish you
Okay.
a good rest of your day. But
Thank you. Tell
this
everybody
is
where to find you.
my last full day in Mexico. I want to thank you for having me on and the wonderful questions. It is
Of
fun
course.
as always and a pleasure hanging out with you.
It's a pleasure having you.
And I'll see you
So tell
soon.
everybody where to find
Oh yeah, you can find me on YouTube at Futuraza. Future has an E in it. Future AZA. X at the same handle, and that's about it. So check me out in one of those places. Thanks everybody for being here, and thank you, Kacey, for having me.
you. So the next one we're going to talk about, and we are almost done. Rivian has made an old gas station into a charging hub. It, it's beautiful. I just wanted to share the pictures of it. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I am going to drop out though.
Okay. Yeah. So here's what the inside looks like. And that was all I had to share with the pictures. So we're going to go on some more. And Ford has given their owners more time to reserve the NACS adapters, um, just in case. We're talking about the free ones. So you bought an F-150 Lightning, Ford Mach-E, and you want to charge a supercharger. You've got more time to do that. Hurry up. Hurry up. Because who knows what they're going to charge you when it's done. So there you go. And this one from Sawyer Merritt I found on the phone, so who knows what we're talking about next. And for the first time, Italy's power generation from renewables has overtaken fossil fuels, which is always nice to see. Talk about Germany and the UK doing it all the time. We talked about California doing it most recently. And we'll go ahead and close that. Tesla Cybertruck owner's small business is forced to halt over vandalism incident. So they stated that there were children in the car. I don't know what that meant. Was it keep climate on? Were they inside the house picking something up real quick? But they run a ice cream stand, and now they are done for the season because it's going to take them until September to get new glass, and they don't sell much ice cream in September at this business. That sucks. Uh, really weird long-term storage. And then let's see, we got some multi-stream that I missed out on. Let's get those up while the next article loads. Tesla Cybertruck hits alleged speed bump. Uh, so we're going to talk a little bit about Cybertruck and its sales in certain places. So the problem with selling Cybertruck in Israel, at least for this one owner import, is that it's been advertised to be somewhat bulletproof, and that's holding them up, even though the windows are not bulletproof. And the kind of guns that they are going to carry in Israel, even off duty, are high powered rifles. And high powered rifles are not a problem uh, for this vehicle. They go straight through. That's holding them up. But speaking of holding up the Cybertruck, we've now got a report out of Canada. What is holding Cybertruck up out of Canada, huh? And this one is for sale from Tesla, not for a one-off import. Marcus said yes. This Elon with the 45 million thing got me like, hmm. Robert says hello. Sure, BYD. Yesterday I thought it was a Tesla for a moment. All right, so Tesla is one step closer to launching the Cybertruck in Canada. At Transport GC has granted an exemption to allow the Cybertruck to steer by wire technology on Canadian roads. The exemption expires in 2029. Uh, there are still additional steps required before the Cybertruck can be sold, but it's a positive sign. And whereas the purpose of the exemption is to allow Tesla Motors Canada to use a highly variable steer-by-wire system that does not have a minimum steering angle of plus or minus 270 degrees as required for testing. So the way I'm interpreting this is because you only go like this for your turn, the wheel doesn't turn enough to meet the regs in Canada because who was ever anticipating steer-by-wire would get rid of the hand-over-hand garbage. I hope this is a really old law because if it's not, then that was just a stupid oversight. Andrew says Mercedes is based on the Model S. A Mercedes based on the Model S would be sharp. I think that would be very sharp. And then we've got Jim Farley and Motor Trend talking about some cool stuff. Did I click enough? I don't think I clicked enough. No, I did not. There we go. So let's close this one. Check out my sugar real quick. I might need to eat this piece of toast. So I'm feeling lightheaded. Oh yeah, I need to eat this piece of toast. So Jim says, not only do we agree, but as I said in my recent op-ed, there's a lot to love about electric cars and trucks. So Jim links to that article we talked about that he wrote. And then client side error. Perhaps I shouldn't have closed that window. There we go. EVs are here to stay. Deal with it. There we go. EVs are here to stay. Oh well. Let's do this, and then let's try this. Get out of that mode. I was hoping to go into reading mode. But basically, we all knew this already. EVs are here to stay. Deal with it. Sorry, Motor Trend. Your website is garbage right now. So Smart Mull's an electric 4.2 replacement, but won't make it alone. The 4.2 is being discontinued this year, but Smart is looking at ways to make a new generation happen. There's the outgoing model. They've had an electric Smart for a long time, so the thing about that one is that their dealers here in the States, they all balked. And okay, I'll take a look over here on this window. Um, X. And oh, Zachary, vote blue to protect your EV tax rebates. Thank you for your great work. Thank you very much, Zachary. Appreciate it. Definitely vote. Baby. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Why are you taking my snack? See, that's what's gone to with my toast. She gave me a birthday card and took my toast. All right, let's see what Andrew's got for us here. Andrew shared us a post. Oh, this one. Yes, I saw this. Let's get it up on the screen. How do I do that? You did take Daddy's toast, yes. Let's copy that and paste it over here. So this Mercedes SL is built around a Tesla Model 3. It was done gorgeously. Basically, I've got the audio off, but if you heard it, all the sounds are Model 3 sounds from the charge port door to the frunk release. Now let's take a quick look. Very well executed. It even still has FSD. That's quite a feat. A little bit of frunk left, and then in the back of the full size trunk for the car anyway. There you go. It is beautiful. So then after this one, we've got, where'd my cursor go? U.S. plans restrictions on Chinese car software. So as we were just talking with Brian, software makes all the difference. And if they find a way around the tariffs and other restrictions they put in place to block their cars, will block their software, which I'm sure they can find a way around that. But at the moment, that will put another little situation for them to work their way around. So then we've got oh yeah, baby, baby. It's funny, funny. Oh, you get your toys watching you watch the TV, yeah. So then we've got, oh, it opened in the wrong window. Of course it did. Let's move this to not the last active tab, but we'll move it to the Chinese restriction window. So spy photos. Ford is testing a heavier duty F-150 Lightning EV with hub motors, possibly, question mark. And that's what we were talking about with Brian earlier. I do believe they are testing something to more readily compete with the Cybertruck as far as specs, but I don't know that necessarily we're going to get actual hub motors. It doesn't mean that this isn't a hub motor, but I don't know that that's going to be on the production one. Because the other one has got a different wheel cover. And then the other thing that came up was that there's a number on the weight in the bed, and that number looks like it is a payload. There's that. The character is that. Um,
Why?
I don't know why. I'm not.
Yellow.
It's yellow, yes, but it's not. It's red.
What is that? What is that?
I don't know what she said.
What is red?
She got the key though. If you watch it,
What now?
I don't know why.
What?
She likes to ask me these questions about her videos. Like I've seen them before. What is hami? Hami is a word she uses when she doesn't know the actual word, and I don't know. Hami has meant several things over the years. You're not even eating the toast. You're just licking the jelly. Oh, there are ants. You're right. So who knows what's going on with this truck? It was kind of cool to see the spy shot, and then the weight was 26 something, 2666. Yeah. And oh, why is this window over top of you guys? There we go. Which electric cars have the longest driving range updated? So this one I thought would be kind of fun now that Lucid has got their new driving range. We can see where everything goes. Some of them do this with efficiency, others do it with big batteries. So up top, we've got the Lucid Air Grand Touring with 516 miles per charge, followed by the GMC Silverado EV 4WT, which can get 450 miles when not towing, despite the picture, followed by the GMC Sierra EV Denali at 440 miles. It must be heavier than the work truck model to lose 10. And that makes sense because the GMC has more equipment in it. Mm. I'm tempted to just block that show just because she finds it should be interacting with that show all the time. The Rivian R1T Dual Max 420 miles for the new refresh model. They're swimming, yeah. The Rivian R1S Dual Max 410 miles. The Tesla Model S dual motor all-wheel drive, so the base Model S, 402 miles. The Hummer GMC, the GMC Hummer EV 3X pickup at 381 miles per charge. And like I said, some of them get around their failings with just a giant battery. This battery weighs as much as a Honda Civic. Then, entering into the realm of affordability, we've got ourselves a 2024 Tesla Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive, the one that just came out last week. We told you, excuse me, that came out last week. We told you about where it's back. 363 miles. Did we talk about it last week, or did we talk about it on the Tesla Life show? One or the other. Either way, it's back. And now that it's in Highland trim, it now gets 363 miles of charge instead of the 310 or 325, depending on what yours ever said on the screen. Followed up by the Hyundai Ioniq long range Hyundai Ioniq 6 long range rear wheel drive. This one was above the Model 3 until that trim came back, and it got 361 miles of range. So they got beat by 2 miles. Like we said, the Elon's pettiness when the Lucid had just come out, they would just kind of every week they would just kind of do this. What, baby? What? What do you want? What do you want? No, what? If you want to move it, just move it. Because you're trying to move it with your foot. Use your hand. You're taking a pull on it. Here. You gotta get off of it. You can't move it while you stand on it. And now pull it with your hand. Yeah. Yeah. See? You're giving it. That better? That what you wanted? Okay. See, that's better. The Hyundai Ioniq 6 long range rear wheel drive, 361 miles. I think we just talked about that. like Brian and I said, we can't really recommend this one, but if you can get a real steal of a deal on one, the Fisker Ocean Extreme at 360 miles. And the Mercedes-Benz EQS would be the real number 10 here at 352 miles, just because you can buy it. I want the bear to watch you. Then you've got the Cybertruck all-wheel drive at 340 miles, assuming that you get the street tires instead of the all-terrain tires. Followed by the Tesla Model X at 335 miles. The VinFast VF9 Eco at 330 miles, looking very much like a BMW in that shot. And at number 15, the Chevy Blazer EV-RS at 324 miles. And BMW i7. Here we go. Tie for 17 is the F-150 Lightning Flash at 320. The Polestar 2 single motor long range at 320 miles. And the Mustang Mach-E. Oh, there's the Model Y long range rear wheel drive, also at 17. It's a three-way tie so far on 17, 320 miles. Is this a tie too? No. The Chevrolet Equinox EV at 319. Porsche Taycan. We'll stop at 20. 19 is the BMW i4 Grand Coupe at 318. 20 is the Polestar dual motor, 315 miles. And there's a lyric there, obviously 21. So, I want to thank Zachary for your contribution there. I want to thank all of our channel members for your continued contributions as well. Again, shout out to Brian over at Future Haza for joining us for the show. Thank everybody in chat and everybody who's watching. Let me check the multi-stream chat real quick to make sure I'm not missing one of you guys. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Thank you. Oh, wait, before that, updates on the HV Nomads this week. No updates. Continuing to kind of draw and plan. Still working on that other direction I was talking about. I don't know if that's going to work or not, so I don't want to speak anything of it and then find out that we're not going to do anything with it. And I'll tell you more later. So, catch you on the flip side. Anders says, thanks for the show. Thank you, Anders.